What a year it has been for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. For Jim Daly, it started with a come-from-behind win in Week 1 over BC.
The rookie at the controls, Kevin Mason stumbles coming out. Looks for a wide-open Farley. He's got it. He's got the touchdown.
They actually won 3 of their first 5 games, and things were looking good for the Green Riders in the CFL West. But then things started to unravel. First, a quarterback controversy. Jim Daly was left to decide whether to play the veteran Reggie Slack or go to the fan favorite in the youngster Kevin Mason. Another dilemma evolved midway through the year. Linebackers Katie Williams and Lamar McGriggs quickly grew out of favor, and both were later traded to Hamilton. And that seemed to pave the way as the Riders went back to playing the type of ball that made them successful earlier. Believe it or not, after all that's gone on, Daly's team still has a shot at hosting a playoff game. But they need to beat Winnipeg tonight. Live from Winnipeg Stadium, it's the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on Friday Night Football. It's our last Friday night together, and we're still live and interactive here at TSN. Bundle up, sit back, and enjoy a little Friday night football. Whether you're hot or cold, should be a lot of fun tonight. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to Friday Night Football on TSN. I'm Rod Smith, along with, yes, the stellar panel of Bob Obilovich, Les Brown, Marty York of the Globe and Mail, getting set for the start of the final weekend in the Canadian Football League season. For the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, nothing at stake but pride, you might say, as the saying goes. Want to go out with a winning note, but the Saskatchewan Roughriders, a lot to be decided, as we saw earlier with John Wells, Glenn Sutter, and Dave Archer still angrily trying to sort it all out. We'll carry the ball until kickoff time to let them compose themselves a little bit. And let's have a look now at this game tonight. Obi, beginning with you, Saskatchewan, we've seen them hot and we've seen them cold, but they have looked pretty good heading into this game.
Yeah, and just to make a point, Les said on the pregame show that how these underdog teams are going to be playing for next year. And I remember saying by the old Winnipeg great coach, Bud Grant, that it was always important to win your last game, whenever that is. So,
Bob, did you win your last game?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did. As a matter of fact, we beat Calgary. They were trying to be 16.
Oh, that was important then.
It is important to come out of the chute and win your last game. You know what? I still have to pick Winnipeg in this game basically because Milt Stegall for Winnipeg is going to have a good game. And I say this because he is their outstanding nominee for their team. Which means they're going to throw the ball to him all day today because they want this guy to have an impressive game. The last game that they're going to play is the last game these reporters are going to remember.
Well, Les, do they want Milt Stegall to have such a good game? Because I talked to him this week, and he knows there are going to be some NFL scouts at this game, and he thinks he's going to be in the NFL next year, so he wants to impress. He told me this is his last game in the CFL, so he wants to impress those guys. Do the Bombers want him to leave? I don't think so. He's the most dominant receiver in the league.
So you're trying to say they won't throw the ball to him?
Oh, I'm just kidding. Of course they're going to throw the ball to him.
Well, I'll tell you what, that weather, it looked like there was some snow there in that picture we saw at the beginning, and if the weather's bad, both of these teams like to run the football, and you might not see a lot of passes.
If you're not a regular viewer of Friday Night Football and CFL Live, first of all, what's wrong with you? But secondly, you may not know that Marty York has to finish over 500 or at 500 in order not to shave off his mustache. This was an agreement with someone who emailed us with that suggestion that if he doesn't finish at 500 or better, then it's got to come off. Well, Marty York sits at 1 under 500. If he doesn't get the pick tonight, if he loses it, He has no chance on Sunday. He's already lost, and so we know the mustache will be coming off. Dun, 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 dun. So the pressure is on.
Rod, aren't you a baseball guy? Gee whiz. Listen, the Roughriders are favored by 5.5 points tonight. Now, they want this game. They don't want to finish in third place. All the Bombers want to do is get this season over with. So face it, it's been an absolutely miserable season for the Bombers, and Jeff Reinbold has taken a lot of heat. I think he's ready to start the off-season himself. The Riders, they're rough and ready, so Les, guess who I'm going to take tonight?
Guess who you're going to take? Marty, you know what? You've been having this underneath this table all year long, you know, so I think that it's obvious who you're going to take.
Well, yeah, I'm taking Saskatchewan, but I want you to know I'm strictly an objective reporter. I think that's really wrong of you to say that.
Even though you have your...
I'm going to just say one thing. I'm glad the Saskatchewan team didn't see this tonight, because this might be a good reason for him not to win, to see Marty get his shave job.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate
We'll
it.
all bring in appropriate paraphernalia on Sunday should this pick not come through. What an exciting Sunday it could turn out to be. And by the way, that clothing there, I'm wondering if the Green Riders are all that happy they gave it to you in light of everything else.
Yeah,
probably.
I got them started in the second half, Rod. That's all I know. I
There's
heard
the
it.
coin toss. Kickoff is coming up.
A playoff spot is on the line for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in a chilly October night in Winnipeg. Riders can finish second, third, or fourth in the CFL West. -2 with a wind chill recording at -12. The wind will be a factor and will favor the Blue Bombers in the opening quarter. It is dry, but there are flurries in the vicinity. Jim Daly, 2 straight wins for Saskatchewan. Hot hand.
Yeah, he's really handled this team extremely well with the adversity. I really think he needs to be considered as maybe one of the coaches of the year.
Jeff Reinbold, no consideration for Coach of the Year in his rookie season.
Well, Jeff Reinbold's playing for pride tonight, but he said, make no mistake, we want to win for our peace of mind.
Dexter Dawson gives the Bombers excellent field position on the opening kickoff. And Chris Vargas is at the controls, hitting on 51.5% of his passes. Too many interceptions compared to the touchdowns Vargas has thrown for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers so far in 97.
Well, this offense gets better. Ted Long joins the offensive group on wide receiver along with Rogers, Stiegel, and Dawson. And this, again, is the strength of the Winnipeg team. They feel their offensive line.
Bombers beginning at the 48-yard line, first down. And this is Ronald Williams, first carry of the night. He has 3 yards.
You know, Jeff Reinbold has the opportunity to maybe evaluate some players, and you wonder how many guys are going to see playing time tonight in a game that really means nothing to him. But he said in the press conference, like I'd mentioned, boy, a win would really help my peace of mind and make it a little easier in the offense.
You got to hold him down in there now, buddy.
We'll listen in on Jeff Reinbold's conversation at the Bomber bench tonight. Winnipeg looking at 2nd and 7. Vargas, shotgun. And he has Dexter Dawson. Spot will be rather critical here.
Just a quick throw outside to Dawson. Again, this is a controlled throw against zone, just trying to extend the drive. It's going to be close enough to measure, and if it's not a first down, certainly they'll go on 3rd down. But as we see the measurement, looks like Joe Pow in a full block position there for us.
Yeah, he's not letting us see it, but there's a good angle, and it looks like you're one chain length short, and you know that Jeff Reinbold will go for it in this situation.
Yeah, good field position. He's on the Saskatchewan side of the field.
You know, and talking about Jeff Reinbold and wanting to win this ball game for peace of mind, not only that, he doesn't have to sit. He'll have to sit for 7 months and dwell on a loss, whereas during the season, you lose one, you get to play the next week. This one is going to stay in the mind for 7-8 months.
Vargas on 3rd down, less than a yard to go, and the Bombers get it. No flags anywhere. Vargas still scrapping in there as he ran into Greg Clark, number 58, but it was enough for the first down for Winnipeg, so the drive continues.
Well, Vargas has only completed 53% of his balls this year, but over the last 2 games, Chris has completed 70% of his passes. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They just have not been able to put the ball in the end zone when they've needed to. A fumble late in the game last week cost them a chance at victory. They just have not been able to punch it in.
First down from the Roughriders 51. Shotgun again for Vargas. Time to throw. And wide open. He'll have up the first down at the 21-yard line. Joseph Rogers made the catch, and he had lots of time to think about it.
Interesting formation, Dave. They put 3 receivers into the boundary, and a little confusion from the secondary from the Saskatchewan Roughriders. You don't very often see 3 receivers into the boundary.
No, and they tried to adjust, like you suggested, Glenn, with 3 guys into the boundary. The zone tried to go that direction, but that's what they call a flood, an offensive flood. You flood more receivers into that area than they have defenders, and subsequently Rogers was open.
The gain is 29. Bombers set up at the Saskatchewan 22. Ronald Williams, room to the left side, and he's down to the 10-yard line. This Bomber drive has been impressive. 12 more yards.
Well, Ron Williams, in Labor Day when these two teams met and Winnipeg pounded Saskatchewan, Ron Williams had a huge day. 25 carries, 113 yards, and a touchdown. Very important part of this offense, and finally seems to have his personal troubles put aside.
Yeah, he's really learned a lot this year. He's learned that he's one of the best backs in this league, and also that he is just 1 of 12 on offense.
First and goal to go Winnipeg at the Saskatchewan 9. There it is. Rogers, 2 catches on the drive, including 1 for a 9-yard touchdown. Where is this team all year long?
Well, as we suggested, with the addition of Ted Long, now Joe Rogers playing in the slot with Stiegel, now their receiver corps is upgraded significantly. Now Chris Vargas has more options. Joe Rogers was an all-CFL performer last year, who was acquired in a trade from Calgary, and has really been banged up this year, but looked really good on the first drive.
First touchdown catch of the year for Rogers as a Blue Bomber. And a very solid scoring drive ends up in the Saskatchewan end zone. It's Friday Night Football, and the Bombers have the lead. Joseph Rogers has his first touchdown catch of 1997. What a great drive. 3 running, 3 passing plays, and they finished it off with a 9-yard toss. Vargas to Rogers.
Joe Palpel calls Rogers one of his best pass route runners. He comes on the inside on his quick slant route, working on Todd McMillan, who's had to replace probably Saskatchewan's best defensive back in Tyrell Ulmer, who's out with a separated shoulder.
Well, Glenn, this is an easy throw for a quarterback as Vargas puts it right on the money, low to his receiver so he can slide in and make the catch. But as a quarterback, I would assume if there's no help to the inside for the defensive back, why would he not be playing a different technique there? Why would he be opening it up?
Well, it's exactly what you would notice as a quarterback, Dave, and you're right. You have to play inside technique with no help in the middle and take away the easy throw. If you don't, you're dead. Joe Rogers took advantage of it.
Baker for Saskatchewan, beginning at the 11. Good burst of speed, and a little room to the far side. What a great return. Out to the 45. Shannon Baker. 35 yards on the return, and the Riders will begin with good field position as Reggie Slack takes the controls. 9 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and the Riders have offered between these two quarterbacks an awful lot of catchable footballs in the secondary of the opposition teams this year.
Well, Reggie's a battler, and Dan Farthing has had a super year for this wide receiver corps. Mayfield moves to the inside. He's talked about how he's not real comfortable on the inside. Winans lines up to the outside with the loss of Rod Harris. And this offensive line, Comiskey and Green, just their 5th start. Each one of them just their 5th start of the year.
Reggie's been playing a lot better lately.
He really has, and I think that the thing that's overlooked with Reggie Slack is how hard he prepares, how much he has to do with what they're doing offensively. He has a lot to say with what they do offensively, and he's a tough guy. I mean, he's played with injuries, and that's why Jim Daly named him the #1 quarterback. He realized what he brought to the team as far as toughness and how he prepares.
And when the games become more and more important, and for Saskatchewan, this game is huge, has a ramification for a home playoff berth for them. When they come more important, being a veteran, having a veteran in that position is crucial, and that's why Jim Daly will go with Reggie Slack.
Now, Slack did not have a good afternoon. Neither did the Roughriders in Week 10. That was the Labor Day
Actually, this was the game, John, we were really surprised that he'd been replaced at halftime. You remember, 8 of 13, 125 yards, pretty good day. Mason came in and threw 4 interceptions in the second half.
Might have been the Roughriders' worst game of the season. Might have been the Bombers' best. Flags are down, and that play will not stand. So the Saskatchewan offense off to a tough start here. We'll check out the infraction.
Offside, Winnipeg 56.
Well, maybe it's not so.
Still first down.
Shante Peoples.
Well, Shante Peoples gets the call, and he also is the anchor on that front 7. 11 sacks on the season, which is second in the Canadian Football League. The veteran Greg Battle anchors the linebacking core. Robert Davis is the safety. Brandon Hamilton and Nick Ferguson are on the corners. Carthon and Garrett, the halfbacks.
And this is 1st and 5. Mike Saunders. And it's tough running against Peoples in there celebrating, along with Grant Carter, who's really made a difference to the Bomber defense since arriving.
Well, this has been a nice addition to the Saskatchewan offense. They really had not been able to establish a run. Robert Mims, who was their starting tailback when the season started, was banged up, had some hamstring problems. They added Saunders in a trade with Toronto, and Saunders, who was a natural running back, really blended in, has really improved their running game.
Having Sean Daniels to block for the last couple of games has helped too. This is 2nd down. Slack looking deep. What a great try by Titus Winans, number 85.
The book on Titus Winans is that he's a straight-out speed guy, and he uses his speed on this pattern. Nothing real fancy about it, just runs down the field and uses his right arm to keep separation. Just doesn't come up with the catch.
That's good, solid coverage with Shannon Garrett. Also, the little jousting going on between hands there as the ball was coming in. Nothing to really talk about as far as calling anything, just good coverage.
McCallum is in. Dexter Dawson waits back at the Winnipeg 20. A knuckler bouncing down near the 30-yard line. Dawson may draw a flag. There's nothing down, however. Dawson is at the 31. Rasevich leading the Saskatchewan tacklers. 1st and 10 Winnipeg when we return to Manitoba for Friday Night Football. Joseph Rogers has his first touchdown of 1997. The Bombers have a 7-0 lead.
Yeah, he had 8 last season, and this is, again, a mystery to Glenn and I why McMillan may be inexperienced. He's been playing corner all year long, been thrown in replace of Tyrell Omer. Maybe inexperienced, not knowing that he did not have help to the inside.
Great drive engineered by Vargas last time. He begins at the 31 here. And Ronald Williams, 25, got the call. Gain is 5.
You know, it's interesting when this Winnipeg team is such a relaxed team right now. Obviously tonight they really have nothing to play for other than their pride, and they look relaxed. You know, throughout this season, the first quarter has been their worst. They've averaged just over 4 points in the first quarter. They've already almost doubled that with that first touchdown. So this looks like almost a different team than we've seen throughout the season.
When you look at the standings, 4-14 sounds a lot better than 3-15 too.
Well, I think David Archer hit it right on the nose when he says that win for the whole offseason is huge.
Confusion as 2 Bomber receivers bumped into each other. Could have thrown a flag on that.
Sean Graham blew the route. He was supposed to release to the outside, pull the corner with him, allow to open up that short side hole for Ted Long. Long's going to run the little out route here, and he's expecting the wide receiver outside to release outside, pull Vincent Donaldson the corner out of the hole, and give Long the area to throw the football in, and Graham got screwed up.
Cameron with the wind at his back nails a big one down to the 25. Winans. Of course, Saskatchewan out near the 40 to about the 39, wrapped up by Greg Battle and Nick Ferguson. 14 on the return, 49 on the punts. And Reggie Slack heads back in. Farthing leads in yardage, Narcisse in catches.
And a guy they'd really like to get back, John, is Rod Harris, who is a quality receiver, one of the top receivers in the league that's been banged up and just has not been able to play. In fact, he had some surgery. They're hoping to get him back for the playoffs.
Reggie Slack did not move the football last time. second possession. Saskatchewan down by a touchdown. Good play action fake. And Slack missed the target. Farthing in the area. Along with Sean Daniels. Take your pick.
Well, he airmailed this one. He wanted to go to Daniels in the flat and just threw it over his head. A night like this is cool. The ball is slick because you can't really establish any moisture on your hands, and the ball sailed on him a little bit right there.
Well, Kevin Mason, in the first time these two teams played, like we mentioned, came in on relief, threw 4 interceptions, and only about 30% of his passes were completed, so had a real rough afternoon. Of course, Winnipeg blew out Saskatchewan on that day.
2nd and 10, Riders at the 37. And it's whistled down. Did Slack take a little too long? Looks like it.
Time's up violation. Saskatchewan.
Now, this is one of the reasons Reggie Slack has wanted to call his own plays. He's looking to the sideline now for the call, and the call's coming in from Gary Hoffman, the offensive coordinator. Jim Daly trying to find out why we're not getting in the plays quicker, but that's why the time count violation.
Slack looking at 2nd and 15. Here's the charge, and Slack is down. Bombers wrap him up, and Peoples is celebrating, number 56. Sack number 12 for Shante Peoples.
Well, I got to tell you, at a glance, it looked like the Winnipeg Blue Bombers sent everybody. I took a quick look down there, and this is the house. Free safety, Robert Davis is blitzing. Shante Peoples, who you can see right in the middle, comes up with the sack. Came on a stunt to the inside. Everyone was coming after Slack on that play from the Winnipeg defense.
And Peoples ran right through the block of the running back to make the tackle.
McCallum into the breeze. Better kick this time. Dawson chased back to the 45. Reversing there. And his return will be a couple of yards at best. Bombers have the ball back and still have the lead. It's 7-0 on Friday Night Football.
I was happy to remind my entire family back in Saginaw, watching the game. I'll get shout out to Eastside Detroit. What's up, baby?
Shante Peoples, 1 sack behind Alfred Payton, who leads the CFL with 13.
Well, here's Shante Peoples right there, and Greg Battle's also involved in the blitz. Shante Peoples going to run the stunt, come right up what we call a gap between the guard and tackle. He runs right over Sean Daniels and gets to Reggie Slack.
Bombers have good field position again, beginning at the 45. Dexter Dawson. As Vargas just swung to the receiver out in the flat for a 9-yard gain.
Well, these are the kind of things they want to do with Dexter Dawson. They want to run him on crossing routes, they want to run him on hitches, and they want to throw the outside receiver screen to Dexter Dawson. Dexter Dawson is a punt returner, and he's one of the best in this league. All they're trying to do is set up a return for him. Get some people out in front, and then let him pick the crease and get upfield.
And you know, Dexter Dawson has thrown the ball after catching it out there. So as a defensive back, you have to stay in your coverage downfield.
2nd down, a yard to go, Bombers. Williams was nailed in there, but somehow he got the yard he needed.
Wow.
And who'd he hit, Kropke?
Well, Bobby Jerson and Kropke, I believe, are both in on the play, but Bobby Jerson took the worst of this one. 71 right there to the right has a chance, and so does Kropke, and great power from Ron Williams.
Really is. He stopped at the point of attack by Kropke, and in comes Jerson, and he just runs through the tackle of both to pick up the 1st down.
Offensively, the Bombers have been impressive thus far. Dawson to this side, and Dawson lets it go. No catch.
Well, Glenn, are you connected to the offense? You're talking to Joe Palpal here, aren't you?
Well, I've seen it before. We did a game right here. I believe it was against BC that Dexter Dawson throws the football, and I could see Milt Stiegel and the guys downfield were just kind of hesitating, and Joe Rogers took off.
Yeah, and really credit Bobby Jerson there, Glenn. If he doesn't continue to rush right there as you see him coming at the end and knock Dawson off, you're right, Stiegel's open for a touchdown on this. He just couldn't set up and throw the football.
And I think Joe Rogers may have been inbounds. He looked like he dragged his feet inbounds.
Interesting play by the Bombers.
I mean, let's check the end of this play out one more time, because I'm not so sure Joe Rogers didn't have his feet in bounds. You just need one foot. He catches it there. Has that left heel is definitely
one
in
knee
bounds.
equals 2 feet, right?
There you go. He's got the ball now. That was a missed
Should
call.
have been a catch, and Dexter Dawson's perfect passing record this year goes awry. He was 2 for 2 for 100% and 1 touchdown coming into this game as a quarterback, or at least as a passer.
Well, he's gonna send that tape to the league, because that hurts his average. And that was a catch.
Final nights of the 97 season in Winnipeg. Final weekend of the regular season continuing on TSN Sunday with Calgary at BC, or BC at Calgary, I should say. 2nd and 10. Here's Vargas, target open, and Long couldn't turn to make the catch.
Well, it's a good solid read by Vargas. It's blitz coverage, meaning there's no one in the middle of the field, and they're trying to come after the quarterback. And he had Ted Long running the out route, and the ball just thrown behind Long, and Long can't come up with the catch. He sees the situation up front. They're bringing 6. It's a good read. He had Long, just threw the ball behind him.
And he certainly had time to throw the football. Nice pocket created by that offensive line from Winnipeg.
Mayfield had no play. Fine kick by Bob Cameron, 49 yards, no return.
Well, Mayfield gambled on this one. I don't think he realized how close to the sideline he was, and Bob Cameron, who's played in 305 consecutive games, pounds this one out inside the 10.
Well, Mayfield, yeah, he thinks that might go into the end zone, and it gets the Winnipeg bounce.
Yeah, he just lost where he was, Glenn, on the field.
Yeah. Well, Curtis Mayfield back inside, and some talk that maybe Ricky Walters should have got the start. He started last week, but Jim Daly feels he likes the speed of Curtis Mayfield from that position.
Riders beginning at the 3-yard line. Horrible field position. Mike Saunders. Peoples on the tackle. The Riders do not have a first down.
Well, Shante Peoples comes into this game the number 8 tackler in the league, the number 2 sacker in the league, and he leads this team in tackles for loss. He has had a super year, and he has missed 4 games on the season.
Yeah, when you start thinking about the future of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they do have talent on this team.
2nd and 9. Slack operating from the end zone. Has Farthing, and Farthing might have gotten a little help to get that first down on the tackle from behind. Picked up 8, maybe a little bit more than that, so a dicey situation here.
Well, it's a blitz look. Free safety. Brad Elberg goes to the left side as you watch him there. Farthing runs the little out route, gives his quarterback an opportunity to throw the ball, and Colin Scribner comes in and finishes it off, but the blitz puts the pressure on, Glenn.
Absolutely, and guess who's in the middle of it again? Shante Peoples. Glenn Scribner was back there as well, but Shante Peoples is off to a great start tonight.
Now, the brothers Scribner on both ends, one hitting the quarterback and the other one hitting the receiver.
3rd down, a yard to go. The Riders have no choice but to kick it away. So still no first downs for Saskatchewan. Dawson for Winnipeg. Bobbled it and then had to jump on it. Wrapped up by Rasevich for 1, number 74.
Well, I want to go back to my point about the talent on this team. There's Shante Peoples, and Dave, you mentioned about what he's done so far this season, having missed 4 games. Then you throw in a guy like Grant Carter, as you see the totals. Grant Carter, another guy that's capable of a 15 to 20 sack season. You know, I mean, there's 2 talented people on this defense.
Yeah, he had 15 sacks last year. You're exactly right, Glenn. And as Wade Miller, who leads or is now 2nd, he'd led the league all year long until Mike O'Shea took over the lead in special teams tackles.
He'll be involved tonight. 54 Miller. Bombers, great field position. Turning the corner, Williams. Grabbed by Ron Getz from behind. 7 yards for Ronald Williams. What a great run here.
Well, if you want to be a defensive back, this is the angle you'd see. Ron Williams coming at you, weighing about 215 pounds. Now, what you got to try and do is look right at his belt, and then when he goes to make that move, well, you got to keep your head up. Vincent Donaldson didn't do it. You can't fake you out with the belt buckle.
So that's what I needed to do. I needed to move my belt buckle.
Move your belt buckle, yeah.
I knew there was a reason for me not doing it. The ball.
Second down. Open receiver. Yes, touchdown. Milt Stegall for 35 yards. His 14th touchdown of the year. He has been the best all season long.
Well, I hate to say this, but Les Brown said back in the pregame show that he felt like Milt Stegall was going to have a big night. And he gets off the schneid right off the start. A long touchdown, and are we surprised to see him catch a long touchdown?
Well, and neither is Saskatchewan. On Labor Day, Stegall had 2 catches for 75 yards. One of them went 68 for a touchdown. So every team in the league has seen Milt Stegall get in behind them for a touchdown.
His longest of the year, 105 yards against Montreal. And it's 14-0 Winnipeg. You suppose they're getting out the old Gillette back at the studio to trim that mustache.
Well, it's a good read. Stegall is going down the middle of the field. He's going vertical, meaning going down the middle of the field, and Vargas reads it. There's no help to the middle of the field. The ball's a little underthrown, and Todd McMillan gets kind of crossed up and can't make the play on the underthrown ball. Good concentration by Stegall.
Well, and Dave, I still can't understand why Todd McMillan, who is inexperienced, is giving up inside position on a guy with Stegall speed and no help in the middle. Now, if there's a safety back there, Todd McMillan has a chance. But if you let a guy with Milt Stegall speed inside position on you with no safety, you are beat. Todd McMillan's been beat twice, once by Stegall and once by Joseph Rogers, and Vargas is getting it done.
Well, great start by Vargas, 5 of 7 for 89 yards.
As a quarterback, that's exactly where you look, Glenn. As soon as the safety leaves the middle of the field, you're going to find your vertical receiver, which was Stegall there, and he put it on the money.
Vargas' second touchdown of the night. The Riders still don't have a first down. With a flag down near the 30-yard line. 18 on the return. Kickoff 63 yards. Titus Winans. A couple catches last week.
Illegal block. Saskatchewan 47. First down.
Well, we talked about Wade Miller just a few minutes ago being number 2 coming into the game in special teams tackles, and he blows this play up at the end. And this is his second tackle of the game, so he has now overtaken Mike O'Shea for the lead again, with O'Shea's game coming up on Sunday.
Narcisse to the near side. Look at that. The Riders have 2 yards. Reggie Slack won't get it away. In fact, they lost it. Stripped of the ball.
I believe it was Glenn Scribner, gentlemen, who got in there again. He's finally healthy for Winnipeg, and right now they're putting tremendous pressure.
Might have been Carter doing the stripping. Scribner has the fumble.
Yeah, Scribner recovered the ball, but there's a tremendous pressure all game so far on Reggie Slack. Carter comes from the outside, pulls the ball, and pulls Reggie Slack around. Scribner falls on it.
What I don't understand is why you don't put the quarterback in the shotgun. Carter, number 51, coming off the right side, is going to run through the block of Mike Saunders, and then Glenn Scribner's there again. But why don't you put the quarterback away from the action? Give him some time.
Bombers take over at the Saskatchewan 13. Vargas on the run. End zone toss. Another touchdown. 3 for 3. 10 long. Made the catch there.
Guys, we talked about Jeff Reinbold and what this game means to him, and he said there's going to be a huge crowd here in Winnipeg. They sold over 30,000 tickets for a game that really means nothing to this team, and he said, you know what? It would be nice to win one for the fans here.
Well, and Glenn, you know as well as I do that it means something to the guys wearing the blue and gold tonight. It may not mean anything in the standings, but they're playing with a purpose, so it certainly means something to them. I know what you mean. It doesn't mean anything in the standings, no question. It has nothing to do with playoff situation for them.
Yeah, but 4 and 14 still sounds a lot better than 3 and 15, doesn't it?
And you know what? They've had good fan support throughout the season from the Winnipeg fans. And this would sort of be a thanks for showing up.
Well, I'll tell you what, this crowd has come out in droves. Amazing. I've had a chance to do a lot of games here in Winnipeg, and this crowd never ceases to amaze. They continue to come out. Very comparable to the group that come to the games in Regina.
Well, good job on the play action fake on the touchdown by Vargas. Bobby Jurison to the right of your screen is going to get sucked in a little bit, and that gives Vargas enough time to get outside. Ted Long sneaks in behind the coverage.
As you suggested, Glenn, because Jurison gets pulled to the inside, now Vargas has more time, which means Vincent Donaldson has to cover longer. Now Long turns what was an out route into an out and up. Long loses, or Vincent Donaldson loses him in coverage, and Vargas puts it on him for a third touchdown.
21-0 Winnipeg. Shannon Baker stumbles across the 40-yard line. That's where he's down. And leading the Bomber tacklers, Wade Miller, one more time.
Well, this whole touchdown drive starts with a big defensive play from the Winnipeg pressure defense, and they've sent pressure on Slack all game. Carter gets to Reggie Slack on this play, and Colin Scribner comes out with it.
And you know what happens here, as we see Vargas extending the play by getting outside and putting the ball on Long, but that's a three-step drop by the quarterback, so the offensive line and running backs are assuming the ball's coming out of there. It didn't allow the pressure to get to him.
The Riders still do not have a first down. Slack stands in. And he's got Don Narcisse. 180 consecutive games with at least one catch he has played in 180 straight games for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Boy, and as he come on, in his first 9 games, Narcisse was averaging about 3 catches a game and about 32 yards. In his last 8 games, he's bumped that up to 4 catches and about 73 yards, and now by the time this season is over, is very close to 1,000. And there's only 7 guys that have had 10,000 yards or better in the Canadian Football League, and Don Narcisse is one of them.
First solid play for the Saskatchewan offense. And the first down. Slack standing in. Looking deep. He's picked off almost. Mayfield was the target. And there was a great opportunity for Reggie Carthen to grab it.
Well, Glenn, we've been talking about Saskatchewan's defensive backs playing outside with no help to the inside. This time, this is the difference. This is the opposite. Now there is help to the inside from Winnipeg. Their defensive back can play outside because Carthen is back in the middle.
Exactly what you're talking about. You see, out on the outside was Shannon Garrett was coming from the outside, and Reggie Carthen was the post help, the safety help in the middle. That's why that play was broken up.
This is 2nd and 10, Saskatchewan. Mayfield the target again, and Slack missed him by a bunch with Carthen covering again. My, oh my, what a turn of events here.
Well, it's a tough situation for Jim Daly. This game is very important to his team, and they look tight to me. And they're in here, they're tight. They're trying to be a little conservative in their offense, like Dave Archer mentioned, and Winnipeg really has nothing to lose and just pinning their ears back.
4th punt for McCallum already. Dexter Dawson. Nifty little return. Still going. He's out across the 45. Should have had him stopped about 10 yards before that. 17 yards for Dexter Dawson.
Well, Dexter Dawson is averaging just under 10 yards a return, and you see him breaking a lot of tackles. That's what good returners do. They make a lot of people miss.
And when Saskatchewan took out the game tape from the Labor Day game, they saw Dexter Dawson take one back 92 yards for a touchdown against them. So
Daly was saying yesterday they were worried about a couple of guys. Dawson was one, Stiegel was the other.
Absolutely.
Well, they need to worry about this guy. Vargas is red hot.
Good run, loose ball. Boyko got it back as Ronald Williams lost the handle for a second. 6 yards, the gain for Winnipeg. It's been all Winnipeg. Bombers are up 21-0. We'll return to CFL Live.
Friday night football tonight.
Friday Night Football, live at the quarter, is brought to you by Midas for new, longer-lasting carbon metallic brake pads.
Welcome back to our Friday night control studio. I'm Rod Smith along with Obie, Les, and Marty. And as we said at the top of the show, one team's got a playoff spot, the other one not much to play for. Boy, does that ever show tonight. Winnipeg absolutely fired up for this one, Les. And Vargas going to work on Todd McMillan there so far in that first half.
Well, you know, maybe they should be giving the credit to Winnipeg, basically, for picking on somebody who's not in the right position. Now, McMillan's been playing on the corner, which is no excuse for him playing outside man when there's no free safety in the middle, like Glenn Suter was talking about earlier. Now, there is no safety in the middle because he's blitzing right now. This man who plays on the corner, if there's no safety in the middle, plays on the inside as well. So that is not the problem. He is just not thinking at this moment in time, and Winnipeg is taking advantage of it big time.
And what a great season Milt Stegall has had. I mean, just terrific. And it's interesting. I was talking to him this week, and he attributes a lot of his success to Gerald Wilcox, the veteran Winnipeg receiver who was cut in training camp. When Stegall came to the CFL, he had just come off 3 years in the NFL. And he was telling me this week, he thought he was just going to be able to step on the CFL field and dominate. And he found out he couldn't, and he was struggling last year. And Wilcox took him aside and told him how different the CFL and NFL defensive schemes are. And now I think Stegall's really mastered it.
Well, he's had a great year, no question about it. One thing that interests me tonight with Winnipeg is they're playing 5 import defensive backs on defense, and they're also playing 4 American receivers with long out of wideouts. So that's giving Winnipeg some different looks on both sides of the football.
Hey, guys, is it too early to say that Kevin Mason should come in the game?
Yeah, a little too early for that. Boy, the Bombers look red hot. On a cool night in Winnipeg, Chris Vargas really throwing the touchdown passes, 3 of them so far, in a 21-0 lead. Now back to John, Glenn, and David at Winnipeg Stadium, guys.
Right, guys, absolutely a solid start for the Blue Bombers. Vargas is tossed for over 100 yards and found 3 targets in the end zone. And second down, couldn't connect with Ted Long there. Vincent Donaldson.
Oh, big play. Big play for 2 reasons. The hit at the end of the throw, and Vincent Donaldson also had to fight through the pick. He's up to the top left corner. Now he has to come over top the pick, come underneath, and then just times it up perfectly with that clothesline on Ted Long to get the ball out of there.
Oh, well done by those 2 defensive backs. Donaldson played off. Joseph played close. Now Joseph can shadow his receiver, and Donaldson doesn't get picked by the slant or by the out move by the slot receiver. He's able to react up and make the play.
Bob Cameron into the win for the first time.
Let's go!
Not a bad effort. And not a great return for Saskatchewan. There's a marker down back in midfield. It's all Winnipeg so far in every category. Scoreboard as well as this board. Just 9 net yards for Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I'm sure Jim Daly would like to think that his offense would come out a little bit more strong than this. They have shown nothing. Credit Winnipeg's defense, but absolutely nothing from the Saskatchewan offense.
And one of the things they got to start doing with Saskatchewan, I'm talking about, is throwing in some screens, some draws, and attacking that running game. Jim Daly needs to take some pressure off his quarterback, and when you have a blitzing defense coming at you, screens and draws can catch him.
Oh, you're exactly right, Glenn, and he also needs to put his quarterback in the gun, in my mind. Run the football from the gun, but put him back there, get him away from the rush.
Another problem for Slack here, holding it on the return. Called out Dan Rasovich, sets Saskatchewan up inside the 10. Oh, Slack is nailed, but got it away somehow as the Flurries roll in over Winnipeg. A little nippy here.
I'll tell you what, only the strength of Reggie Slack keeps this from being a safety. It was a play fake by Slack, and then he hoped to break contain, get to the outside. side.
Well, Reggie Slack must think he's at the wrong end of an avalanche because it's been like that with this Winnipeg defense. What an athletic effort from Reggie Slack to just get that one out of there.
2nd and 10 in the snow in Winnipeg. Riders inside the 10-yard line. Slack has his target this time. Titus Winans. Couple of catches tonight. Big one there to get the Riders out of a deep hole.
Wow, that was a super throw right there. That tells you a little bit of what Reggie Slack is made of. He's been pounded here early in the ball game, had the ball jarred loose, drops straight back on 2nd and 10, and throws a bullet to try to extend this drive.
I thought he had the first down, but they measure and now confirm that.
It really was a confident throw. You know, sometimes when you fight off a guy like Grant Carter, it must be, you know, you think, hey,
pumps you up a little.
Yeah, pumps you up. It gets that adrenaline flowing, and you say, hey, if I can knock Grant Carter off and get the ball away, I think I might be able to stand in here and complete a couple passes.
First game as a Blue Bomber against Saskatchewan Labor Day weekend.
I guarantee you there's a little anger brewing in Reggie Slack right now, too. That's what's motivating him.
First down, Roughriders. Slack looking deep far side. Narcisse, what a catch. Oh, 2 for Narcisse tonight. That was the prettiest one.
Oh, I don't think Narcisse should have been ruled down here either.
No.
Nobody touched him down, yet they ruled him down. There was some contact outside. Narcisse is the outside receiver. He's just going to run what we call a fade route. He's got press coverage. This means the defensive back's up tight. Now he's going to run and hope the ball fades him to the sideline, but nobody touches him down here. He should have been able to get up and run, and with a receiver there to block, who knows?
And if you're Nick Ferguson, you just shake your head. You can't be in better coverage than he was on Don Narcisse there, but like he's done his whole career, somehow number 80 comes up with the football.
Riders out to 52 with a first down. Mike Saunders, what a nice run by Saunders, and there's another Saskatchewan first down. A marker down. Did you see face masking down there?
May have gotten a face mask at the end of the run, but as it so often happens, you hit a couple of passes.
Face mask. Winnipeg 22. First down.
They hit the curl route to extend the drive, and then the long fade route to Narcisse, and then all of a sudden, here comes your running game. Your running game comes back.
That's right. You know, and when you talk about that long one, a big catch by Don Narcisse on Ferguson. The face mask comes right at the end of the play. You see right there is Brandon Hamilton is going to rip his face mask. The officials got the wrong number, but that long one now backs up the defense. It gets them on their heels a little bit. They can't come quite as aggressively anymore.
Best drive of the game for the Roughriders. Inside the Winnipeg 30, and Saunders again. Big hole opens up, and Saunders is down to the 10. The Riders have finally arrived.
Well, you can tell they're playing with a little bit more of a purpose now, John. They come out and there's a little fire in their eyes, and I think it all stems from Reggie Slack and the big throw he made on 2nd down when they were down on about their 5-yard line. That's really extended this drive, and now Jim Daly has to hope that they can pump this one in. This has been their most solid effort tonight.
No doubt about that. Set up now at the Blue Bomber 11. Winnipeg on top. Saunders wrapped up in the backfield. Greg Battle got there first. Loss of 4.
Well, the veteran who starts at linebacker and also does a little bit of coaching comes up with a big play to try and get a little momentum and maybe put some on Jeff Reinbold and the Winnipeg defense side after this big drive from Saskatchewan.
2nd and 14. The Riders now back at the Winnipeg 15. Slack to his left, target open, catch made. Thought he made the catch. Did they rule it?
Well, if he did, then he fumbled it out of bounds.
Farthing, far side.
And they're over there arguing it right now. Rob Davis and Grant Carter are arguing that there might have been a fumble, and it depends on who touched it before it went out. If they're ruling it a catch, then it was a catch and a fumble. And the ball goes to the outside.
There's the catch. Grant can't make you fumble, so I guess it's dead there. Is that the deal?
Well, I don't know that. Well, no one touched it anyway.
Farthing was the last to touch it.
Farthing was last to touch it, but it would have been 2 yards back from where they marked the ball, because that's where it went out of bounds. Doesn't matter anyway, it's third down.
There you go. Riders go for their first points. Slack holding. McCallum shakes it wide. Oh my, what a great drive that ends up like that. Bombers are having a fun time in the snow in Winnipeg. No smiles on the Saskatchewan bench quite yet. The Roughriders settle for just 1 point on a wide field goal by Paul McCallum. So the Bombers get it back beginning at the 35-yard line with a 20-point lead. Vargas has had a hot hand for Winnipeg. Williams has run well, and he's got it again. Ronald Williams. Near the 40-yard line. I've got a couple of ex-holders with me up here who are not willing to blame the holder for McCallum's problem there, but we're going to look again.
I'm going to speculate that it may have been the holder. Kevin Mason is holding, and he pins the ball with his left hand, and he has to get that right hand out of there, and I don't know that he did. He may have blocked the kick himself.
With his hand. I've done that.
And I have done that as well, and that's why I've been there and done that.
Ferguson, second down. Tipped at the line. Bryce Bevel got a hand on it.
Well, this is the first one that Chris Vargas hasn't seen today. He actually had Milt Stiegel breaking to the corner all alone, and had he seen him, it would have been his 4th touchdown of the first half. But as it turns out, the ball batted down at the line of scrimmage by Jurison.
Now, how do you, when you go to the tape the next day and you see a guy wide open like that, and you're thinking, I mean, how do you assess that? I mean, you read it as you see it on, you know, at the time of the game, but
after you get through beating your head on the wall.
Baker waits for the third down punt from Cameron. Tries to draw a flag and does so. 5 yards on the return after a 36-yard punt. Riders will have good field position when we return to Friday Night Football. I think it's warmer here tonight than it was in Cleveland the other night.
Well, I love that, how all the soft baseball players were, the whole story was how cold in Cleveland it was. Oh, my. We love it here, snowing the football. We love that kind of weather.
Just a reminder, Game 6 is tomorrow. And it's a wacky
Who'd have thunk it? Yeah, the guys from the warm weather come to the cold weather and take 2 of 3 in Cleveland, and now Kevin Brown on the hill for Game 6.
World Series on TSN continuing tomorrow. 1st and 10, Riders trying to get anything going here. Almost an opportunity as Peoples got a hand on it.
He's doing it all. Now, if he's not rushing the quarterback, getting sacks, he can also drop, and it's pretty good in the pass coverage.
And he really has done it all year long, Glenn. You're exactly right. He's just going to elevate. He gets shut down in his rush, or he's out in coverage. I'm sorry, out in coverage. Just gets his hand on the ball, knocks away from Farthing. 56, Shante Peoples.
Well, that's an athletic play.
Athletic ability. You're right.
Yeah.
2nd and 10 at the 41. Beats on Slack to get something going. Almost picked off on the other side. Ferguson covering on Narcisse.
When coaches evaluate defensive backs, they look for make-up speed or closing speed, how quickly they can come out of their break when the football is thrown and in the air. And that time, Nick Ferguson looked like he was shot out of a cannon.
Well, the ball's thrown to the wrong side, too, Glenn. You're right. Ferguson, nice play, but the ball needs to be thrown to the inside, away from the defensive back. It was thrown back outside where Ferguson had a play.
McCallum had to step out of his pocket, just got it away. He's down, no flag. Dexter Dawson returning for Winnipeg. So McCallum went down, but no penalty marker, because he'd stepped out of his little pockets. 4 yards on the return. It's all Winnipeg on Friday Night Football. Blue Bombers have been playing in a short field thus far tonight. Good kick returns by Dexter Dawson. Touchdown on the first drive, a couple of punts, and then back-to-back touchdowns, the second one after a turnover.
Well, much easier when you only have to work on half the field, and they've cashed in those situations.
Vargas hitting on 60% of his passes. 6 for 10, 101 yards, 3 touchdowns. Thus far, Winnipeg on top by 20. Vargas shot down. Got 2 targets. Couldn't make the catch. Pretty good coverage by McMillan that time. He had an opportunity there.
Well, Glenn, this is the flood again to the weak side. They sent in a lot of receivers, 4 receivers, in fact, to the weak side of the field trying to overload the zone. This time, Todd McMillan makes a super play.
He does, and one of the reasons for it is that Saskatchewan defensively adjusts to that formation by bringing Dale Joseph over, so that gives them that matchup now. They are man for man, 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 into the boundary, so McMillan can free up and make a play on the ball.
2nd and 10, Bobbers. Near the 40. This time, no mistake, as Long made the catch. Patrick Burke forced him out, number 38.
Well, we talked about how Vargas has completed 70% of his balls over the last 2 games, and he has been really sharp tonight. He's had 1 ball where he threw behind Long. This one was the complement of that. He puts it right on the money to extend the drive.
And Saskatchewan defensively has not played against Chris Vargas this season. He was not the quarterback when they met on Labor Day.
114 yards for Vargas. This guy's run very well. It's Ronald Williams breaking away again. Finally tracked down from behind by Patrick Burke. And Dale Joseph from the other side. 33 yards for Ronald Williams.
Well, Ronald Williams comes into the game needing just 92 yards. Now it's less than that for 1,000 yards. He's averaged 4.8 yards a carry this season. Had some problems earlier in this year with the disciplinary problems. Had a super game against Winnipeg in their first meeting, over 100 yards in that one. But he is, people forget about, you know, he missed a few games. He's still the #1 touchdown maker on the ground. Came into this game with 14.
I'm betting he's going to get his 1,000. 75 yards already for Ronald Williams tonight.
Well, in those stats we saw of that 113-yard game he had versus Saskatchewan, it was his 2nd best on the year as well. I mean, he had a big game against the BC Lions out in Vancouver, and of course he played with Vancouver last year.
Now here's the thing, you got to remember they're light on D linemen this week, right? So now they put that Van Wise kid in, we're going to go right after his ass, right? Way to go, Ryan.
There's the game plan. It doesn't get much simpler than that.
That's right.
Well, he says they're light on the defensive line, means they've added a player to the roster that's playing in another position, so they just have 1 guy to go to, and Nelson Van Wise is the guy they're talking about. He hasn't played very much.
Troy Alexander was the injured Saskatchewan Roughriders, and what a season he's had. 10 sacks on the year, his personal best. I mean, this is his 3rd year with Saskatchewan, and in his previous 2, he only had 2 sacks total, so really come into his own as a pass rusher.
Played 10 games in '96 for Saskatchewan. He's an Edmonton native.
And well said, Glenn, because I think him maturing into a top-notch player with his 10 sacks this year has really made this defense a better defense. Now they can't just concentrate on stopping Bobby Jurison, who plays at 100 miles an hour. They have a guy on the other side.
Are you guys watching Nelson Van Wise? Vargas, time to throw, touchdown toss. Not quite. Stiegel was the target, and he drew a crowd of Roughriders.
I'll tell you what, this was a super throw from Chris Vargas. He put this ball right on a line. The ball should be caught. And that's good defensive back play. He was complaining about being bumped early. I think that the timing there was super from the safety coming over. But the guys back in the studio talked about Stiegel going to the NFL. You know, Milt's not going to be able to run vertical on every play in the NFL. He's going to have to catch passes just like that one.
2nd and 10, Winnipeg at the Saskatchewan 25. Low snap to Vargas. Looking for the end zone again. Rogers had a great opportunity for his 2nd touchdown of the ball game.
Well, Gentlemen, I was just about to say what a great job Jason Mallett did on the previous play on Milt Stegall, and right away he comes back and makes a bad read and leaves Todd McMillan all alone. Joseph Rogers gets in behind him. Jason Mallett was in the middle, but went with the eyes of Chris Vargas to the left side of the screen and out of the play. That created the opening, and Rogers just couldn't come up with a catch.
Weather have anything to do with those catches tonight? The ball getting a little crisp out there?
No, we're not like baseball players. Football players love this weather.
There you go. Troy Westwood, his 38th field goal of the year, hitting on 71%.
Well, Saskatchewan not only dodged a bullet, they dodged 2 bullets there, because Vargas made 2 super throws. Both should have been caught for touchdowns. They had to settle for 3 as Westwood pounds that one through. But Saskatchewan's defense dodged a couple bullets there, Glenn.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, the first one is a good play from Jason Mallett. I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due, and Mallett times it up and hits Milt Stegall in the back and gets that ball out of there. The second one, though, that's a straight-out drop. And Jason Mallett was the victim on the second one. The hero on the first and the victim on the second.
First down, Saskatchewan, beginning at the 35 after the Winnipeg field goal. Mike Saunders nailed in the backfield. Grant Carter.
Well, Grant Carter makes the play because the guy who's supposed to block him just decides, hey, I'm not going to block 51. I'm going to block the next guy. And John Terry is pulling the big offensive tackle, and Sean Daniels is leading. Daniels bluffs like he's going to block him. Terry doesn't even block him.
Sacked again. Reggie Slack and Shonda Peoples is celebrating down there. That's 2 for him tonight. And a tie for the sack lead in the CFL.
Shante People ate his Wheaties this morning. You see him on the stunt, going right in the middle. He's had a lot of success so far tonight in that same stunt, coming up what we call the A-gap between the center and guard. He's timed it up perfectly and been in the backfield before Reggie Slack had a chance.
McCallum with a breeze at his back. Drops it off at about the 39. Dexter Dawson is wrapped up in a hurry.
That's good coverage by Vincent Donaldson, because they know how dangerous this guy is. He's already popped one for about 15 yards tonight and had a 92-yarder in their last meeting for a touchdown. So it's been emphasized to Vincent Donaldson and that crew covering kicks. Hey, get down there and surround this guy, and let's make sure of the tackle.
The Bombers scored with the win, guys, but Saskatchewan has managed just 1 point in the second quarter.
Well, Chris Vargas should have another touchdown on the board, and there should be an asterisk in the stats where those 2 incompletions on the last drive go, because you can't fault the quarterback. You don't get the asterisk.
You always want those, and you don't get them.
He threw 2 perfect passes that, of course, didn't connect. But
well, he played well last week against Montreal and had his team in position to win that one when a fumble turned that one around for him. But he has really played solid tonight. This is maybe as good as I've seen Vargas play all year long. This has been a solid effort.
Yeah, it's interesting. Jeff Reinbold mentioned about Vargas in the press conference. He said, I wish we could play Montreal every time with Vargas, because every time we play Montreal, he has a big game.
Bombers have the ball back beginning at the 40-yard line. First down. Most of what he needed for a first down. 7, maybe 7.5 yards there.
Well, good news for Saskatchewan's defense. Troy Alexander was back in the lineup and was in on that tackle, so he was just shaken up and back in the lineup.
Well, he got in on the tackle 7 yards down the field, and that's because Perez, McNeil, and Van Conant are coming off on the left side and blowing the defensive line off of the football.
Second and 3. Approaching the 3-minute mark till halftime. Vargas swings it out on the backfield. Williams made the catch and took a big hit. Bevel was there, and he had company. Timeout at Winnipeg Stadium on a chilly night for Friday Night Football. Our last occasion of '97. Few flurries in the air over Winnipeg Stadium tonight.
Getting that time of year.
Sleigh bells ring.
And it really doesn't cause a problem for the quarterbacks. It only causes a problem when things start getting wet. And because it's cool and dry, it really isn't causing a problem for the quarterbacks tonight.
Great crowd on hand for the Bombers' final game of the season. Cameron is in on 3rd down, Winnipeg. Not a deep kick. Bouncing at the 35 and flags again on the return. Benson Donaldson was not back to receive the punt, but jumped on it when it came up a little short.
Yeah, I thought it may have hit him, and then he realized that once he touched it, he had to recover it.
Tough start for Daly and the Roughriders. A win tonight would have guaranteed them 3rd spot.
Winnipeg 37. First down.
I hate that rule.
Still hate it.
Well, if the guy that is supposed to be receiving the ball doesn't catch it, and a guy gets a bad kickoff, why should the coverage team be penalized again? They already have a bad kick. It hits one of the other guys that's blocking downfield. That's no yards. The guy was never trying to return it in the first place. I think that rule needs to be changed.
Well, we'll suggest that.
We'll send it in.
Of course, that's not the first time I voiced that. So.
Riders take advantage, though. Batted down by Peoples. That's the 2nd time he's had his hands on the ball.
Well, if I'm Gary Hoffman, the offensive coordinator for Saskatchewan, and I see Shante Peoples lined up on the right side of the defensive line,
You're
or wherever
going the other way.
I'm going opposite. I'm going opposite. Shante Peoples is over here on the right side of your screen. He's just going to get up, and he's made some real athletic plays, not only in coverage, but also on the pass rush so far tonight.
Couple of sacks, couple of knockdowns for Shante Peoples. Saskatchewan 2nd and 10. Slack standing in. And a man open. Mayfield couldn't make the catch. Would have been a great one had he been able to hang out. So the Riders are sputtering again on offense.
Well, it was like a minefield for Curtis Mayfield. He was going down the seam. Brandon Hamilton was looking him up, trying to make the big hit and time it up. And Curtis Mayfield kind of had his head on a swivel and couldn't come up with a catch.
Are you saying that he might have gator armed that?
I think he may have a little bit.
Dawson is back. McCallum with the win. Puts it way up there. Dawson losing ground and actually tripped himself back at the 5-yard line. So a good chance for the Saskatchewan defense to do something here with 2:06 to go. Try and pin the Bombers deep. MVP in Saskatchewan, or at least most outstanding player nominee, Bobby Jurison.
And the defensive player nominee, obviously. And Bobby Jurison has had a tremendous season again. I mean, he's the leader. He calls the defense. He's in your face if you make a mistake, and he pats you on the back and gets you back in if you're down. I mean, he does it all for the green and white.
Well, he's out there directing traffic right now.
Telling the secondary guys where to line up.
He's due to make a play. It might be right here with the Bombers hemmed in just outside the 5. John Kropke on the tackle.
You think about Bobby Jurison's numbers in the big picture. I mean, here's a guy that right now in all-time, all football, ranks 4th in sacks. He has 142, and this is up to date as of last week. Reggie White leads that list, the 165. Grover Covington, the old Hamilton Tiger Cat, 157. And Bruce Smith in the NFL has 145. He's in 3rd. Bobby Jurison is in 4th in that league and wants to play 3 more years.
That's pretty good company. Yeah, very good company.
2nd down. Ted Long maybe stopped short of a 1st down. See where they spot the ball? Nope, he got it. So big catch.
Pretty good second effort by Ted Long there to get that extra 1.5 yards. And It's a big first down for Winnipeg, because had Saskatchewan held Winnipeg and made them punt here, they would have been in good position for some points.
Long to the near side this time. Over from the Hamilton Tiger Cats. 7 catches, 63 yards as a Blue Bomber this year. Ronald Williams broke another big one. Here's Ronald Williams, and this is a brilliant run. Down to the 40-yard line. He's got his 1,000 for sure as of now.
Well, it's all good running backs too, Glenn. When something isn't happening for you at the point of attack, you slide outside.
Real nice block by Chris Perez on the outside, who is Winnipeg's nominee for outstanding lineman. That gives Ron Williams just that crease, and then he is really running the ball hard, and once he had that crease, he took off.
Into the final minute of the opening half. Leonard Jean-Pierre slips into that Blue Bomber backfield, and he's running well as well.
Well, they had to get Ronald Williams on the sideline, get him some oxygen.
53 yards.
There's not a lot of oxygen in the air tonight. It's pretty crisp and cool, so he had to go suck some air.
2nd and 2. And when he gets his chance, Leonard Jean-Pierre has a couple more and says, I have the first down, coach.
Well, this offensive line has been featured as the strength. Perez, McNeil, Van Conant, Mihalik, and Hendrickson, and they brought their game tonight. They are really pounding the run and giving Vargas time to throw the football.
Bombers are taking more time off the clock. This is Boyko. Stopped short of a first down. Nice tackle by Clark.
You know, I got to make one more point about that offensive line that, Dave, you were just mentioning, because Jeff Reinbold was talking about his offensive line. He said right now they're sort of in the middle of the league giving up sacks, but they don't have a running quarterback. It's different when you have a Doug Flutie, Damon Allen behind you that really can avoid the rush a lot. When you're an offensive line that has to block for a pocket passer like yourself, I mean, that's a little different. And if you can keep up there and not give up a lot of sacks in the standings, you're doing a pretty good job.
23 seconds till halftime. You think they should get the foamy out in the studio? Marty picked Saskatchewan tonight.
Well, there's a lot of football to be played yet.
Wow, just a little suggestion. I know there's a few guys down on the football field who'd be willing to apply the Gillette.
I think they get it down and shave it off his face anyway. You know? He's a baseball guy.
Bombers are having a fine night. Chris Vargas has been outstanding. 3 touchdown passes and a chance to get to the end zone one more time here on Sunday. There's Williams. Yes. Wow. 15 touchdowns for Ronald Williams. 4 for the Bombers tonight.
Well, as they celebrate the touchdown, you see a lot of defensive backs down there. This is something this defense has not seen all year long. An offensive explosion, and the entire secondary down there celebrating the touchdown and the chance to actually sit on the sidelines and watch part of the game. They spent a lot of the year on the field.
Get out the foamy.
Just maybe put it on the counter. If Ron Williams keeps running like that, the foamy will be out.
Roughriders have been really soft on both sides of the ball so far tonight.
Wow, I mean,
this was their game. This was their opportunity.
It's really surprising to me, John, that they've come out so flat, too.
Ron Williams is running with authority tonight. I mean, those knees are high. Look at the speed to the outside on Greg Clark. Greg Clark is a great run stopper. Good linebacker stopping the run and has pretty good speed. He breaks to the outside and has the angle. Watch the angle on Greg Clark, 58. Right there, you see Ron Williams outrun the angle. Clark doesn't get a hand on him.
Bombers' offensive line doing an outstanding job as Williams has now picked up 162 yards against the Saskatchewan defense.
Now the number 3 rusher in the league and continues to climb that ladder 2 more yards, and he'll move into the number 2 slot. And we don't know whether Robert Drummond is going to play very much on Sunday against Montreal. Certainly will probably try to get some of the rust off, having sat out the last couple of weeks, but 162 yards is second best night of the year.
Nice average.
As a quarterback, if you can hand it off and get 13.5, no reason to really put it in the air.
You don't even need an arm as a quarterback, right? You don't have to be able to throw if you can run like that.
And when you saw those totals, Ron Williams missed 4 games this year.
Interesting to note, Robert Drummond has missed a few of late. Another solid drive for this Blue Bomber offense, having its best night of the season, I'd suggest.
Well, this was the Ronald Williams drive, the 53-yard run, put him in scoring position, and then the great blocking up front by that offensive line allowed him to get outside and make the 23-yard run for a touchdown.
Now, the Bombers played very well against Saskatchewan on Labor Day in Regina, but I don't think they were this dominant offensively in that game. They won both battles along the lines, but the offense was not as crisp as it is here tonight.
And guess who?
On Winans,
Wade Miller.
he is in the lead in special team tackles.
I'll tell you what, Jeff Reinbold said they could not cut this guy because he's Mr. Effort. And he puts a textbook pop on the returner right here.
Look at that hit. And what I love about it is the whole bench erupts for Winnipeg after the hit, including Chris Vargas, who's jumping up and down, turns around and says, "Do you see that hit?" Yeah, that gets you fired up.
Reggie Slack running out of time in the first half. He goes long, 7 seconds on the clock. Mayfield the target, and the coverage was too tight. Garrett had an opportunity for an interception.
Well, Shannon Garrett's had 4 interceptions on the season, and finally he got all 4 of them with the big cast on his hand. He's got that off and
Can't catch.
been playing healthy, and now he drops one. He's got to get the cast back on. That's pretty good coverage.
Yeah, this defensive secondary has really been banged up all year long. Really have played with a lot of courage this year.
Should be the last play of the first half, and Slack is going down.
Brad Elberg, he came on a safety blitz, John, and I don't know if he timed it up. I think he might have just been in there a little too soon.
You don't get there quite that quickly. We'll see. There is a marker down.
Offside, Winnipeg 56.
Shante Peoples gets flagged for being offside. You know, I think Shante Peoples is a bit of a victim of his own athletic ability. He is so quick off of the ball that I believe the officials say there's no way this guy could have been in the backfield that quick. I'm flagging him.
And I know there's certainly a lot of quarterbacks who feel that way.
Yeah, but I really feel like he gets flagged sometimes when he has timed it perfectly. He's just so quick.
One final chance for Reggie Slack. He might as well put it up there if he has the opportunity. This one is a jump ball. Should be the last play, so it won't matter. Tough first half for Slack and the Roughriders.
Hey, 2 things now.
Well, fortunately, there's a second half
For us to go from.
Jim Daly's going to have to go in and regroup because this game means a lot to them in the playoffs.
The halftime show is coming up on Friday Night Football with the guys back at TSN Football Control.
Joe Day, our check's where it needs to be, though. Yeah.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. And yes, as Marty York ponders the life without facial hair, certainly the Saskatchewan Roughriders have greater concerns. By the way, this was Marty's pick tonight. Yes. Well, we don't bother with the shaving cream, guys.
No,
just the blade or a reasonable facsimile. 5.5-point spread, and Marty took the Green Riders to cover that spread, and he is a game under 500. And, of course, with that loss, take one last look, folks. Actually, let's not write off the Green Riders just yet. However,
we're waiting for Marty to make his fourth quarter prediction.
Okay, you're going to predict the big comeback tonight?
I don't know.
No, okay.
Guys, in all seriousness, I am stunned by the Roughriders' performance in this first half. This is supposed to be an important game for them. I cannot believe that they've come out this flat, this disinterested, this uninspired, this unprepared.
Marty.
They're supposed to win this game. I can only wonder if they want to play Montreal.
I just want to know if they're going to blame this on Lamar McGriggs and KD Williams.
Yeah. If those guys were in there, they'd be a lot better right now. Hey, if John Wells was playing linebacker for them, they'd be better right now.
No, I'll tell you what, before the game, I think they saw the pregame show, and those guys lost because they're losing now because they want to see you get that mustache shaved.
Well, wait a minute. In all seriousness, Coach, Saskatchewan had a lot to gain here, has a lot to gain here. Yeah. With a win, quite possibly could have a home date for the first time in the playoffs since 1988. And that would certainly better their chances of getting to the final, and who knows from there. What could cause them to be so flat on a night when they have everything to gain in Winnipeg? It really didn't matter that much.
It's not the first time something like this has happened in pro sports, not just football or the CFL. It's the human element where this situation happens, where a team comes in heavily favored. They got so much more to gain. The other teams, they don't have anything to gain. It's at the end of the season. They're not going to show up to play. And then what happens? Those guys kick butt.
And then they go into the playoffs just totally flat. Oh. You know, Coach, didn't this happen to you and your team?
Yeah, you don't have to bring it up.
Okay.
I think we won't bring it up. The fact that it was 1991.
A lot closer game, I'll tell you that.
1991, BC Lions could have wrapped up first in the West, playing the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who started 0-8 that year, even worse than this year. Had a bad year, a coaching change, similar to 97. Fill in the rest of it. They march in. You could win this game, and you waltz in, you get the bye to the final.
Yeah, I think they ended up beating us by 2 points or 3 points at the end. We didn't play real well that night, and they were fired up. Don McPherson had an unbelievable night at quarterback, and we didn't play well, and they beat us.
All right, now, Chris Vargas, Ronald Williams, all the Bombers are having an unbelievable night with a 31-1 lead at the half. When we come back, we'll have a little bit more for you on Friday Night Football from Winnipeg Stadium. Also have a look at the BC Lions and Sean Millington.
Friday Night Football! Friday Night Football! Friday Night Football tonight!
Welcome back. Saskatchewan Roughriders trailing in Winnipeg tonight at the half by 30 points. Now, should the Riders go on to lose, at this point it looks like they will, and the Calgary Stampeders and BC Lions will exclusively play for second place in the West, and they'll do it on TSN on Sunday. Our final CFL game of the year. Got it for you from McMahon Stadium, live, beginning with the pregame show at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 12:30 p.m. Pacific. The Lions, of course, with some bad news. Their fullback, Sean Millington, gone for the rest of the season because of a broken bone in his foot.
It was a pretty big shock. I mean, my foot's feeling better all the time. I'm starting to put more pressure on it. I'm, walking well. I'm thinking, okay, good. I'm on my way back. I'm in time for, first playoff game. And, oh, no, you're not.
Sean Millington suffered the injury 2 weeks ago against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Millington, one of many CFL players who once entertained hopes of playing in the National Football League, had a tryout with the 49ers. Didn't work out last year, but speaking of which, Marty, a story in the Globe and Mail today by you talking about how the door is shut now for all CFLers hoping to take advantage of this new agreement and cross over into the NFL. What's the news there?
Yeah, the NFL for this season. There were a lot of players who were hoping that, according to the terms of an agreement that was signed between the NFL and the CFL before this season, that those players would be able to go to the NFL and finish out the year there. Guys like Doug Flutie were even pondering it, I know. Atlanta had expressed some interest in him, in New Orleans. So now the NFL has decided that they aren't going to allow that they don't want to expand their rosters, and they don't want to pay any more players. So those guys are out of luck. And
well, you know what? I think this is a real interesting story on the fact that a lot of players, CFL players, re-signed with the CFL this year because they thought they would have that possibility of leaving and going down and playing in the NFL.
That is correct.
And a lot of GMs used that to their advantage to get these guys signed back.
But in fairness to the CFL, as both John Tory and Jeff Giles said when I talked to them yesterday, they did everything they could to make sure that worked. They said they couldn't comment on the internal workings of the NFL. This was an NFL decision totally out of the CFL's hands.
You know what I find interesting about this, Obi, is that I thought that was the one benefit the NFL would get out of it. A lot of us, let's face it, we're asking when they come to an agreement here and they're providing money to the Canadian Football League, a lot of people wondering what does the What does the NFL want out of this deal? We're scratching our heads. One thing that I thought they wanted was the players.
Well, I think that's a secondary thing, Rod. The number one thing is they want the Canadian Football League to exist because it helps them with their own situation down there with antitrust laws and all that type of thing.
So that's...
We should also say, Rod, that the NFL are going to revisit this whole issue during league meetings in March. The competition committee, which is co-chaired by Green Bay's coach Mike Holmgren and the Giants general manager George Young, will take another look at it, and it might go into effect next year. But for this year, these players that were hoping to go from the CFL to the NFL and maybe play right in the Super Bowl this year are not going to get that opportunity.
Well, when they make their decision, you can't imagine the CFL having much say in what the NFL is doing. It does seem amazing that the NFL is worried about its bottom line, but you never know. The bottom line for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, they certainly don't like, and it is the score for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, 31 points. Top line, just 1. Friday Night Football returns right after this. Take a look at our Chevy Cavaliers CIAU Top 10. Western Mustangs at number 1, followed by the Ottawa Uggs and St. FX, Guelph and York. And then running it down, Saskatchewan, Waterloo, UBC, Concordia, and Calgary. As for our match to catch, involves the number 2 Ggs against the Queens Golden Gales tomorrow afternoon at Frank Clair Stadium. The Ggs number 2, but the Gales can overtake them for first in the Ontario-Quebec Conference with a win tomorrow. We already discussed the many possibilities in the CFL West. If Saskatchewan could win the game right now, they're trailing by 30 points. So you remember the difficulty John, Glenn, and Dave had figuring all this out? Hey, guys, your job might have gotten a little easier now.
Let's not go there again.
What if this ends in a tie?
No, let's not go there again.
Hey, Chris Vargas has not thrown 3 touchdown passes in a game all season long, and he throws 3 in the first half. Big part of the story.
Yeah, I think it really has been his best effort of the season, but, you know, in talking about the playoff picture, it really has cleared up. If Saskatchewan continues down this road, obviously the game Sunday between Calgary and BC decide who finishes second.
Yeah, and I don't want to give up on Saskatchewan just yet, though.
No, you obviously couldn't.
There's a whole half of football to play. It's, you know, obviously a big lead they got to come back on, but this is a defense that's responded from controversy all year and will play better in the second half. Offensively, they need to start clicking because, as you can see by the numbers coming up right here, offensively, Saskatchewan just didn't get it done in the first half, and it was largely due to the pressure defense from Winnipeg.
All right, well, the story is the Saskatchewan Roughriders are in 30 points in arrears to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers here at halftime in Winnipeg Stadium. Good crowd on hand, and everyone having a little fun. Mike Toth with a sports update before we return. Well, it's a chilly night at Winnipeg Stadium. Good crowd on hand here. And the Roughriders had better show up in the second half. The pep talk at halftime would have been interesting.
Well, and I think they have to decide that they have to make it known to everybody on the team that there is no 30-point play. It's going to take execution. It's going to take getting everything together, both offensively, defensively, special teams, and put everything together and play their best half of football. They can climb back into this one.
Yeah, I think Jim Daly has to get Michael Saunders more involved in the offense, screen draws, take some of that pressure off him, also get him out and throw him the football. Mike Saunders didn't play in the Labor Day game against Winnipeg and has been a huge factor for their offense in the last 8 weeks.
Second half is underway. Winans just gets the 30-yard line. 7 yards on the return, and Saskatchewan has to go to work. Reggie Slack had a tough first half. 6 of 16 for 107 yards, and Chris Vargas, we talked about an awful lot, really won the showdown with 3 touchdowns.
Well, and Vargas is 10 of 17, but he had 3 or 4 balls dropped. He really could be about 15 of 17 or 14 of 17. Reggie did have a tough first half. This drive is going to set the tone for the second half.
Riders beginning at the 31, down by 30 points. And Slack is down again. Third time.
Yeah, guess who was involved?
He was involved. Did he get credit? I thought Scribner was there.
I don't know if he got credit, but he came on the same sort of stunt that he's been coming on all night. Right up the middle on this blitz.
Well, when you go in at halftime as an offense, when you're struggling, they've always had some problems picking up some of the blitzes. These are the adjustments you're making at halftime, and obviously didn't make the adjustment they needed to.
Second and a bunch facing Slack now, and more heat. Buying a little time. Slack for Farthing. Intercepted. What a great one-handed interception by Brandon Hamilton. Still going. A chance to hit the end zone. Slack in on the tackle at the 10-yard line. Fifth interception for Brandon Hamilton, a beauty.
Well, this is a beautiful interception. Reggie Slack scrambles out of the pocket, buys himself some time. Glenn Scribner giving chase, and now he throws one up for grabs. And Dan Farthing gets out-battled for the ball, and a super catch by Brandon Hamilton. And had Hamilton gotten a block from Scribner, he scores on this play. Reggie Slack made the tackle.
Bombers are set up at the Saskatchewan 10. 162 yards for Williams in the first half, and a touchdown. There's number 2. Ronald Williams.
Well, Glenn, I think it's pretty evident who has established the tempo in the second half.
Well, like you said, the first part of this second half will establish what's going to happen. I mean, a lot of the same. It looks like Ron Williams, you can't tackle him, especially tonight with one arm. And I looked to me like Troy Alexander was a guy who tried to do it from the outside. Number 46 to the right of your screen gets one arm on him with Gary Rogers, and that's not going to be enough. Not tonight on 25.
He's closing in on 200 yards. Ronald Williams. A couple of touchdowns tonight for Williams. 3 touchdown passes in the first half for Chris Fargas. The Bombers are on a roll, and they're following number 25. Ronald Williams has rushed for 172 yards and a couple of touchdowns. The Bombers are walking away with this thing 38-1. It is a game that meant a whole bunch to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Not a whole lot to the Blue Bombers, but the roles are definitely reversed in this one tonight. This is Wyman's returning for Saskatchewan. A long run to grab a couple of yards.
Well, the whole thing was set up by an interception. Reggie Slack forces it up, and you know, I thought this was a super play, but Glenn just started shaking his head at the break and said, routine. Did most of your 51 look like that, Glenn?
49 of my 51, just like that one-hander. Yeah, right. Great play by Hamilton. He sets it up, and then Ron Williams, who's been unstoppable, caps it off. But Brandon Hamilton deserves that one. Very studious. Student of the game, works hard in preparation, and comes up with a big play.
Riders have a long way to come back. Don Narcisse a little short of the first down. The Riders wanted to win this tonight to guarantee that they wouldn't have to go to Montreal and get in the Grey Cup parlay by beating the Alouettes and the Argonauts. There's a decent chance they'll be going to Montreal as a result of what's happened here tonight thus far. Mike Saunders wrapped up by Glenn Scribner, 72.
You know, Glenn Scribner continues to amaze me. The guy has battled knee problems the whole season. Really, he's playing on a bum knee and just continues to knife through and try to create opportunities. His brother's playing on a bad ankle. The Scribner brothers come every night. Yeah.
Winnipeg born and bred.
Well,
the Riders have not adjusted offensively, guys.
No, they certainly haven't, and that's one point that Dave Archer was just making, is that, you know, when you go in at halftime, you have that whole time to look over what they've been doing to you defensively. You come out with adjustments. And in 2 series now, we haven't seen any adjustments from the Saskatchewan offense.
Paul McCallum punting again. 4. And the Riders take a time count violation. They were short a man.
Well, see, what starts happening now is everything's going south on Saskatchewan a little bit. Now people aren't getting out for special team assignments. That time Rogers was supposed to be on the field for punt team. He was not out there. They're in disarray in the green.
McCallum kicking it away from Dawson. He gets to it at the 30 and drives wrapped him up. An obvious no yards penalty. And Ronald Williams heads back to the office. He's been running wild all night long.
Well, it hasn't really been one particular side or the other. It's a good job by that offensive line across the board, because as you can see by the distribution there, it doesn't really matter what side of the line Ron Williams attacks, he's having success.
And this makes it doubly tough now defensively, Glenn, because now you have to worry about stopping a run, which means now 7 people, because they're not able to stop the run, 7 people are going to have to get involved to stop it. The front 7, which means play action passes now become big.
Bombers have 3 receivers to the near side, and Vargas looks in this direction. He finds Dawson wide open. Dawson actually tripped himself, but he has plenty for the first down.
So you have a guy who has so many moves, sometimes he tries to throw them all on the guy and ends up tackling himself.
Well, these are the kind of things they wanted to do with Dawson. We talked about using the screens and the hitch route. So that one was the little hitch route, about an 8-yard route, sets it down, and Vargas put the ball on him quick and lets him run after the catch.
Mr. Everything for Winnipeg.
Net result, an 18-yard gain. Bombers just outside the 45. This time it's 10 long, breaking the tackle. Still going. He's to the 20-yard line. A chance to hit the end zone. He will. Hey, Glenn, how about the block by Dave Van Conen? Dave Van Conen, the center, snaps the ball to Vargas, and then it gets out with Brett McNeil. McNeil doesn't really get his block. Long runs through the player, or runs through the tackler, and then Van Conen springs him for the touchdown.
And what I love about it as well is down the field. That was at the point, the Van Conen block. You go a little further down the field on the play. Ted Long goes off the block of Ron Williams to get himself in the end zone.
Missed tackle. Riders defense really struggling. Bombers on top. 45-1. 10:13 to go. Vargas is having a great night. 4 touchdown tosses for number 16. The big guys up front don't get an awful lot of recognition, but we should show you a couple of plays right here on this drive.
Yeah, Dave Van Conen's going to get the block on Bryce Bevel, number 3 right there. Long cuts in behind it. And that's the center. He snapped the ball in the shotgun and then got out on the block.
Nothing has gone right for the Riders. Until maybe now. Here's a chance. Shannon Baker finally rolled down about the 30-yard line. Bombers on top of Saskatchewan 45-1. That was a 46-yard return. And Reggie Slack has to get very hot in a big hurry.
Well, that's an understatement. You're right, John. I mean, not only just for this game, but this is a team that's going into the playoffs, and they, they're in the bad side of a butt kick in here tonight, and going into the playoffs, you don't want to have that in the back of your mind.
Can you say that on TV?
I think I did. I'll get a call.
First down, Saskatchewan. Slack has a target. It's Mayfield. Can't make the catch. Shannon Garrett covering. And well.
Well, when you're a quarterback and you put a ball in the area as this ball is thrown, this is a perfect throw. You have to catch the football. It's as simple as that. Curtis Mayfield has to catch the football when you're struggling on offense, and that might be the understatement of the game right there.
Well,
you have to make plays.
And you're right. I mean, Curtis Mayfield had a chance at a long one down the seam earlier that he dropped as well and should have had. So that's 2 for Mayfield.
2nd and 10. Here comes the heat. Slack was lucky to get it away.
Now, I just have one question. I may be a little old-fashioned, but what happened to the old screenplay? I mean, there is no question what Winnipeg's game plan is defensively on 2nd and long. is to send the house. Everyone is blitzing, man-to-man defense. If you run a screenplay in that kind of situation and just slip Mike Saunders in behind that pass rush, you got big yardage because there's no one back there. And Jim Daly and Gary Hoffman, I don't know if they just don't have it in the playbook or just have forgotten about it.
Well, Jim Daly's not calling the plays on offense, and there is absolutely no variety right now offensively. They're doing the same things they were doing in the first half, which is making Reggie Slack half roll against a blitz. Absolutely no chance to get the ball off.
McCallum missed a chip shot earlier. He's got that one. The Riders finally have 4 points on the board on a chilly night at Winnipeg Stadium. Lots of cheer in the stands, Greg Musselman.
It certainly is a cold night here, John, but the conditions, of course, don't seem to be affecting the players. In fact, we've had no injuries so far. It's been relatively injury-free. That's good news for the Saskatchewan Roughriders as they get ready for the playoffs. That's about the only good news. The Riders really struggling, and the fans here don't seem to mind the conditions at all. The Bombers really taking it to the Roughriders tonight. Back up to you guys where it's a little bit warmer.
It's a little chilly up here. He had to go to the hood down there.
Jeff Reinbold wanted to say thank you with the win tonight, and he's pretty much doing it. And that man has some concerns on his hands. I mean, they're heading into the playoffs.
And the problem started very early for Saskatchewan. They didn't get a first down on their first 4 possessions.
That is the game story. Well, my pen's frozen.
Yeah.
But the game story.
What were you trying to explain?
I was trying to circle Ron Williams. He is having an unbelievable day. There's a bounce in his step, so to speak.
Yeah, I think so.
You'd say that over 1,000 yards as a result of his solid performance here tonight.
And that's something that an offensive line can really hang their hat on too, you know.
Right in. Remember, when we go out to Roger, you got to come underneath the tackle. You can't be outside.
We're talking about a punt block. They had a punt block on there, and they wanted the player to come underneath the block.
Nice play action fake by Vargas. And a little miscommunication as he looked for Williams.
Well, you talked about it earlier, Dave, about the play action, how with the great game that Ron Williams is having, play action is going to be a factor down the stretch here. And boy, Gary Rogers sure got sucked in on that one, and he really has to. You know, and Ron Williams is running so hard, you have to respect him.
It'll be 2nd and 10, Blue Bombers with a rather comfortable 45-4 lead. And 8:20 to go, third quarter. Shotgun for Vargas. Milt Stiegel was the target.
And these are some of the things that Milt has a bit of a problem with. Milt's made some super catches this year, and he runs away from people, but the routes that he's going to be asked, and he's talked about avidly about trying to get back into the NFL and taking a shot down there, is he's going to have to make a lot of intermediate catches, meaning 10, 15, 20 yards down the field in traffic. And he hasn't come up with a couple of those catches tonight. And so, you know, as far as him dominating this league, I don't necessarily buy that.
Well, you know, I mean, only 2 games this year has he caught over 5 passes. I mean, yes, they've been long ones and for touchdowns, but he hasn't really caught tough ones.
Shannon Baker slowed down and wrapped up at the 41. 8 on the return, and they're paying special attention to Wade Miller, number 54 on special teams.
And they should. He's the human cannonball. The guy's about 5'2", about 215 pounds.
And Ron Getz has the job of trying to stop him, and if you can't do it by blocking him fairly, well, you put 2 guys on him and you hold him and tackle him and wrestle him to the ground.
How do you not call that? That's unbelievable.
Ricky Walters with the 2-point takedown.
There's guys serving time that have done more to people than that.
First down, Saskatchewan. Slack goes to the shotgun. Sees the target. Almost again, Brendan Hamilton had a one-handed interception earlier that set up a Bomber touchdown.
And when he sees the film on this, he's going to think he should have had another one.
Well, it's a super play by Hamilton, but what I see is just the lack of timing in the passing game. The routes aren't matching the depth or the length of time with which Slack is throwing the football.
More heat. Slack out of the way. And he comes up short of the first down as Mayfield had to come back for it. Robert Davis wrapped him up. So the Riders a couple of yards shy. Well, maybe a long yard, but a little short. Gambling here? No, I guess not.
Well, I don't see why not. You know, really, I mean, you're 45-4. I mean, you don't get it and they score again, who cares? You know, really, I mean.
Yeah, I agree with you, Glenn. They should be going here.
McCallum will kick it away, standing at his 35. Dexter Dawson awaits. Donaldson was within 5 yards. And a flag comes down. Timeout at Winnipeg Stadium, where the Bombers are rolling over the Roughriders with ease. Based on what we've seen here in Winnipeg tonight, this is the showdown for second place in the West. BC and Calgary Sunday. You'll be there.
I will be there, and all the scenarios go out the window right now. That one's for second.
And the key to that second place is to host the Western semifinal.
On first down, Williams is stopped in his tracks one of the few times tonight. Jason Simmons is there, along with John Kropke. Still, he got 3 yards.
That's just movement by the offensive line. Ronald Williams gets up a little gingerly from that pile falling on the legs, but just good movement up front, which allows you to pick up 3 there.
Well, this is one area that Winnipeg can definitely say they improved on from a year ago. Coming into this game, they were average 102 yards rushing a game. Last year it was about 82, so it's one thing they can hang their hat on going into next year.
Vargas on second down. This one is picked up. Bryce Bevel, 4th interception of the year.
Well, what happens here is Chris Vargas makes up his mind he's going to throw the ball backside before the snap ever happens. He's already decided he's throwing back there. No way in the world you should be throwing the ball back there. 5 defenders around Ted Long. Bryce Bevel comes up with his 4th interception of the season. Well, Chris had already made up his mind here, Glenn, to throw back.
Yeah, he certainly did. A good read by Bevel when he saw the shoulders come back to the backside post pattern. And Bevel, who leads the team in interceptions now and really has just been a backup throughout the year.
Interesting story. Saskatchewan set up just outside the 35. Slack has to throw in a hurry. And almost had it grabbed.
This is really amazing. I mean, Winnipeg has not done anything differently defensively all game. Shante Peoples came right down the middle on the blitz again, and Saskatchewan just is not adjusting.
And what they're doing by looping Peoples inside from an outside linebacker position is they're locking him on a running back. And that's a 255-pound pass rusher that's his job, is to get to the quarterback. That's a mismatch.
2nd and 10, Saskatchewan. Here's the heat again. Slack took out for the first time tonight. Scribner is there.
Well, now this is my point, though. Gary Hoffman, the offensive coordinator, who is on the left of your screen right there. Gary Hoffman has got to say, now listen, if Shante Peoples is getting onto our back and I release the back into the pass route, does Shante Peoples have to come off his pass rush and go cover the back? Probably does, but because they're just staying in there trying to block him, he goes rushes full speed and gets in the quarterback's face. If they release the backs out, now he may have to come off and cover. No adjustments have been made, though.
Riders settle for another field goal. And they narrow the gap slightly. It's 45-7. And let's bring in the guys watching this one back at CFL control. What are you doing?
Bugs Bunny, the shaving one?
Oh,
yeah.
Mark, cute tonight.
I want to say something to you guys that you always say to me. No comment.
It's coming off.
Yeah.
It's coming off.
Yeah, it is.
I think we should do it tonight, Marty.
I think we're waiting for Sunday.
John, we're just having trouble deciding what utensil to use. I mean, we don't want to go the conventional way with just a straight razor.
You got to go with the dull butter knife.
That's the one Coach wanted to use on his throat.
I'm bringing a machete. That's what I said. I got to find one. Anybody's got one, send it to me.
You know, you football people are all very violent.
We're thinking of a rusty fishing knife.
Who's getting this down? That's another good suggestion.
Maybe we could check it out on the internet, guys.
Hey, Glenn, we want to ask you, being that loyal Rough Rider fan that you are they going to still be able to come back?
No shot.
No opportunity
I'm
tonight.
not a fan. I'm completely impartial up here.
Hey, I still cheer for the Ottawa Rough Riders.
Well, it sounded like it was more like the Toronto Argonauts by the pregame.
Oh, here we go.
That's a good one, Glenn.
Good one, Glenn.
Hey, talking, you know, Coach,
call them as you see them.
Coach Obi, you know, looking at this game, I mean, you've coached many games in this league. Do you see just a lack of adjustments from Saskatchewan's offensive personnel or their game plan?
I think you guys have been talking exactly to what's happening. They're just out of sync in every respect tonight. And not only just on the offensive side, I think that the Winnipeg defense is dominating. Their offense is dominating their defense as well. So it's all Winnipeg tonight. I mean, Saskatchewan is going to have to figure out how they lost this game.
Vargas has Dawson. I just want to point out to Bob that the Ottawa Rough Riders are no longer in the league.
I wondered how long it was going to take you guys to figure that out.
But actually, they just missed the playoffs 3 weeks ago.
After that analysis of what was going to happen in the playoff standings, I figured I'd get by with that one.
Yeah, Ottawa's not even in the league, and Les's team has, what, 4 more points than them?
Let me tell you what, Les's team has completed more passes than Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Les has completed no passes.
This is second down. Vargas needs 4. He may get a chance to get it away after all. He gets the first down himself.
Say, David, Hamilton's looking for a quarterback, you know.
Well, he's got that here in Winnipeg from a few people.
Yeah, I need a good agent, Les. Can you handle that, too?
Yeah, you know, I can handle it for you. Maybe work for about 10%.
Wow, 10%. You know, Chris Vargas just ran for that first down right there. He ran more on that play than he's run for all season long. He coming into this game, he had 95 yards rushing. You know, that was about a 105-yard run right there.
You know, we were just talking. I think he's got Offensive Player of the Week sold up right now.
4 touchdown passes, and he's had this guy running all night long, Ronald Williams.
Now, what we have the panel here, though, guys, I got to ask the coach a question. Now, Coach, you're Jim Daly right now. I want to put you in his shoes. You're heading into the playoffs. You're playing this poorly against a team that's 3-15 or 3-16, and what do? I mean, you're going in the playoffs. How do you respond from this?
You know what? This is just another case of adversity that they've been through so much this year. This just seems to put the capping on the icing, so to speak. So I think they're just going to forget about this game and go out and prove that they're a much better football team. And they got to. The bad thing about it is that when you get beat this badly physically on both sides of the football, it's not a good way to go into the playoffs psychologically.
But Bob,
another sloppy tackle there, too.
Bob, is it just possible that maybe Saskatchewan wanted to play Montreal in the playoff?
You're saying they're throwing the game tonight?
I just wonder.
Is that what you're saying?
Do teams ever want to do do that?
No, not in this situation. Saskatchewan had a chance to finish in second place.
Les, could you grab him? No way.
Again? Already did.
Tell him that a player never goes on the field and tries to lose.
How did we know the non-football guy was going to say that?
Are you trying to tell me Saskatchewan's trying to win tonight?
No, but they are getting pounded. They're trying to win. This is not, let's go out and lie down.
I know.
They're just getting beat by a team that's fired up and playing better.
Maybe they heard your pregame prediction, Marty, and they're just getting even for the big story.
Obviously.
What I see here is a team that's been frustrated all year long is finally getting a little bit off their chest.
Yeah, you got to give Winnipeg a lot of credit, and especially Coach Roach on the defensive side of the football, and Joe Paopao as the offensive coordinator. They've done a great job preparing, and Coach Reinbold making some of those decisions with his ratio, going with the 5 American defensive backs and the 4 American receivers. It's really showing up in this game tonight.
And Reggie Slack has not had a lot of help, guys, from the playbook.
No, but I concur with the coach in the fact that Winnipeg has come in here and just outplayed a team in Saskatchewan that's headed to the playoffs. It's just been a superior effort by a team that's struggled and fought and battled all year long. Coach Reinbold and his coaches have brought in a team, and they're playing superior football tonight.
Well, you know, this is a heck of a contrast from Winnipeg's last game last year. Last year in that semifinal in the West, I think Edmonton beat them 66-7 or something like that. And at least this year, as Coach Grant said, go out on a winning note in your last game. And at least Coach Reinbold's able to do that tonight, it looks like. And Winnipeg's finishing the season on a winning note.
It always gives you something to talk about during the offseason.
Yeah, forget about all the bad things. Just think positive.
All right, guys, we'll take it back here in Winnipeg and see if the Bombers can find the end zone one more time. Interesting there. Boyko lost it and got it right back.
When it's working, it's working.
5 yards.
Boyko went the wrong way, and Chris Vargas kind of turned around and kind of over his shoulder tossed it to him, and somehow he got it to him. But this was a fired-up Winnipeg team, and the panel talked about it, and they wanted to thank the fans for their support, and it was the largest crowd of the season for Winnipeg. The official attendance, 30,222.
That's a nice positive story in Winnipeg after a long season. Vargas on 2nd and 5, and Boyko wasn't expecting it. Cal Murphy was here a year ago. Now he's standing beside Jim Daly in Saskatchewan. And this is the first time that Murphy has been back since he was dismissed as head coach in Winnipeg. His record 96, 65 and 3.
He's got a mitt full of Grey Cup rings and then some.
Yes, he does. Had a great career, and most everybody you talk to that played for him have tremendous respect for him.
It's been a big influence for Jim Daly in Saskatchewan, and they are side by side throughout the game from start to finish.
Troy Westwood. 3 more for Winnipeg. Bombers are closing in on 50. Pretty good chance they're going to hit it tonight. 48-7 through 3 quarters. We'll bring in the boys at CFL control while we take a timeout at the end of the 3rd quarter in Winnipeg.
Thank you again, John. Yes, all Winnipeg, well, so far throughout this game, and just like it was back in Labor Day weekend, dominating the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Riders, as we've talked about with those guys at the broadcast booth, not able to make adjustments, Marty.
Well, yeah, these guys were saying that they can't believe that the offensive line for Saskatchewan hasn't been able to pick up the Winnipeg blitz. Well, it's really interesting that Gary Hoffman is the Saskatchewan offensive coordinator. He was on the same coaching staff last year with Joe Paopao and Jeff Reinbold. He knows their tendencies. You would think he would be able to adjust. Going back to last game, he didn't adjust, and he hasn't done it in this game. It doesn't make sense.
And a lot of those people always say that Mike Roach, who is the defensive coordinator for Winnipeg, is so really consistent on how he calls his coverages, which Marty pointed out earlier. Every 2nd and long, they are bringing the house, and no one is doing anything to adjust to it. And Coach pointed out earlier the Hamilton Tiger Cats beat Winnipeg with their first victory by running a screenplay because they were blitzing so much like that.
And I think the other thing about that, Les, maybe one of the reasons they're running such good blitzes tonight is with the extra American defensive back, their coverage is better in the secondary by Winnipeg, which isn't allowing Reggie a lot of open receivers.
Now, what are the BC Lions thinking tonight as they're watching Saskatchewan get pounded?
They're getting excited. If I'm a BC Lion right now, man, I'm getting pumped up.
They're getting pounded by Calgary, too.
It's a situation you've been asked so many times. We've tapped into your experience and your coaching expertise. As you head into the 4th quarter, let's say you've lost the game. I mean, it's 48-7. So do you say anything to your players? Do you just write off this game? Or what do you want to see in the fourth quarter? You're into the playoffs next week.
I would just say to my players, because they've gotten their butts kicked for 3 quarters, let's win the fourth quarter and finish on a positive note to get into the playoffs. And I'd probably bring in Mason and give him some playing time and, you know, try and finish the game, keep our guys healthy for that playoff game, because they don't have a lot to look forward to as far as watching these game films.
Yeah, that's about it for Saskatchewan, down by 41 points. The objective, rightly so, win the fourth quarter. Don't worry about anything else. Let's head back to that fourth quarter now. John, Dave, and Glenn, guys.
Well, and I think that's an extremely good point that Coach Abilovich made in the fact that they come back and they try to win the fourth quarter. Because let's face it, they're going on to play for what it's all about in the cup. They need to have a good taste in their mouth.
Well, they've lost all 3 quarters up to this point. No first downs for Saskatchewan in the third quarter at all. Deep, Mayfield the target. He drew double coverage. Reggie Carthon, number 26, was covering. And here are the numbers. They don't look good for the guys in green and whites.
No, they do not. And Ronald Williams running the football. Now 200 yards rushing, his biggest game of his career. Biggest game of the season, certainly for...
Does that add up right there? Should be a 3, 4, 436. Total.
Well, we're not going to blame Dave Moyer for that, are we? Our stats man?
It's slack on second down. He's off target again.
Dave's calculator overloaded on the playoff scenarios.
Yeah, must have. Yeah.
Well, you know, it is a good point that the coach makes as well, that maybe Kevin Mason comes in, gets a little playing time, and, you know, on the other side, Winnipeg might as well throw in Raymond Filya as well. I mean, this game is over, and basically gets some guys some playing time, and for Jeff Reinbold, it's evaluation, but for Saskatchewan, it's get everybody sharp.
Yeah, it's find somebody who can start the playoff game.
Yeah, for next week.
And move this football team. McCallum kicking again. Dawson racing over to field it on the fly. He's across the 45 to the 47. Bombers first down when we return. They've had a lot of them tonight in their home park in Winnipeg.
Friday night football tonight.
No one really expected this at Winnipeg Stadium tonight. We did anticipate the Bombers would play well, but not this well, and we didn't think Saskatchewan could possibly play this poorly in a game that meant so much to the franchise. But that's the story thus far. 48-7, Winnipeg leading the Roughriders.
Well, and Glenn, you alluded to the fact that it's evaluation time. Here's the rookie Franco Roca, comes in at left guard, replacing Brett McNeil, who had a solid night tonight for Winnipeg. It's his opportunity to get a little playing time now.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that they probably will throw in Raymond Filya, the backup quarterback, soon, and evaluate him as well.
Right now, though, Chris Vargas with 4 touchdown tosses on the night hangs in and has another strike on the far side. Another Saskatchewan miscue. Riders had a chance to knock it down or come up with the interception. Ted Long comes up with a catch.
Well, good catch by
first down.
Good catch by Long, but even better protection by the young guy. We talked about Roca coming in, and immediately Saskatchewan comes to the blitz, and Roca stepped up and popped Greg Clark underneath the chin, gave his quarterback some time. So the rookie faces his first challenge and gets it done.
Bombers first down, Saskatchewan 48. Ronald Williams, left side this time, turns the corner, has 5 more. He's over 200 on the night with 6 yards there.
Well, I'm really impressed with the way the offensive line is blocking for Ronald Williams. They just seem to continue to come off the football. And something, Glenn, I'm seeing from the Saskatchewan defense, and I know that defensive coaches tell you this, you're going to get blocked, but don't stay blocked. And it looks like Saskatchewan defenders are staying blocked.
Yeah, and when you're down 48-7, It's hard to fight that extra little bit. It's hard to, you got to dig way down there to get it off those blocks.
On 2nd and 5, it's Williams for the first down. Markers are down, and Williams is too. Finally at the 25. 17 more yards as Williams closes in on the rushing record for a Blue Bomber.
Holding, Winnipeg number 60.
Dave Von Conant there, but they might have missed something else out there.
Dave Van Conant got called for the hold, and then there's a little graze of the face mask, which probably could have been called. You know, Dave Van Conant's playing in his 123rd straight game, which in offensive lineman lives is about 450 years. That's unbelievable to have played that long.
Vargas on 2nd and a bunch overthrew his intended target. Ted Long. Lots of smiles for this guy tonight. 4 touchdown tosses for Chris Vargas. Ted Long has contributed as well.
Well, Chris Vargas has been resilient this year also, as Jeff Reinbold was changing quarterbacks when Kevin McDougal was here. Glenn alluded to the fact that Vargas didn't play in the first game between these two teams. It was Kevin McDougal. But Vargas has stayed in there among controversy and some bad play and has played real solid the last 3 weeks.
Cameron back at his 45. Shannon Baker. And Saskatchewan really hasn't had any returns on special teams tonight either. Wade Miller is there again.
Wade Miller down there again. He realizes that he and Mike O'Shea are having quite a battle in the special teams tackle department, and he's trying to pat himself a little lead, but you can bank on the fact that O'Shea will be on about 4 or 5 plays. As you see Miller continue to battle against Getz.
You know, and guys, we talk about special teams players and Wade Miller. That's not an easy job. I mean, that is a fist fight from start to finish, and Wade Miller is one of the best.
Here's Kevin Mason into the ball game. Made the catch. He dropped a couple earlier.
Well, this is a good solid throw, but it's the same play that Reggie Slack had been running in the game. Mason comes in and just rolls left, slight roll to the left, gets behind his tackle and makes a throw, but Kevin's been plagued by the INTs this year, but the reason that worked is there's no blitz.
Mason on the run, stops and fires. Has Don Narcisse, so he's 2 for 2.
Well, I'll tell you what I like about Kevin Mason. He's been standing on the sideline for 3 quarters and is freezing cold and comes in here and throws 2 strikes.
Yeah, when it's this cold, it feels like 3 days.
Yeah,
that you've been standing over there.
That cannot be easy.
Interesting note on Reggie Slack on first down plays. When the Riders passed, Slack had 10 incomplete. He was sacked twice, fumbled once, and managed only 2 first downs in his 3 quarters. So a long night for number 17. 8 of 25 for 124 yards. Simply not a playoff situation, or at least a playoff style performance. And this was a playoff game for Saskatchewan. 2nd and a bit, and Kevin Mason has the first down.
And for those that don't really know what was at stake or haven't heard what we've talked about being at stake.
You're not going through that again, are you?
About you know, had they won tonight, coupled with the Calgary loss, they probably would have hosted the Western semifinal.
However, Narcisse was the target, and Mason overthrew him. Victory slipped away for the Saskatchewan Roughriders very early in this ballgame. They were down 21-0 before anyone blinked here.
Came right out, did not have control of the field position situations. Winnipeg was playing on half a field, and every time they got those opportunities, they cashed them in. Vargas was extremely hot early and got Saskatchewan under the gun.
It is Kevin Mason at the controls now. He completed his first 2 and has another one there.
You know, guys, I still can't understand this philosophy. Saskatchewan offensively, 8 minutes left. This game, they cannot win. I would be running the ball. I'd be using the game plan and the plays that I'm going to use in the playoffs. When was the last time we talked about Michael Saunders? I mean, you've got to run some things that have been working for you all year and get ready for playoff time.
Mason himself on 3rd down, and he comes up with a 1st down. He ran a long way to pick up 1.5 yards, but he got there.
Like it looks like desperation time trying to come back, and Gary Hoffman, Richie Hall up in the booth to the right of your screen there. I mean, offensively now, you might as well just go back to the game plan you had at the very beginning, make some adjustments, work on your running game, work on your short passing game. The score is irrelevant at this point.
8:25 to go. Mason has Farthing, turns it into a 1st down. Great run by Farthing. As much spirit as we've seen from the Roughriders much of this evening.
Well, coming in, Dan Farthing only needed 85 yards for 1,000, so he still wants the rock.
Well, the
31 there.
The amazing thing about Farthing is he has struggled against Winnipeg. In the last 4 games against Winnipeg, only 9 receptions coming into tonight. So this is a team that has really shut Dan Farthing down.
There he is.
There he is. Number 32 is Mike Saunders.
No, but I mean, this is good. I mean, Dan Farthing catches a curl. Mike Saunders on a little toss. Run your offense now. This is practice time. You're practicing for, well, probably Montreal.
Getting ready to go to McGill.
You're getting ready for McGill now.
And those 2 teams have had some serious battles this season.
Oh, have they ever?
That's not definite if the Riders lose here tonight, but it's much more a possibility. Had they won this football game, they would have completely avoided a trip to Montreal.
Yeah, that's true. With the loss tonight, if BC loses to Calgary, we've said Calgary finishes 2nd. But then, Glenn, I see you got your paper. You're going to sort this one out for us again. Does BC go east, or does Saskatchewan go east?
Okay, let me see. If Saskatchewan wins. No, I mean, Saskatchewan loses, you were saying that. What was the question?
Who's going east?
Who's going east? Right now, I got to go to page 2 of my paper.
Yeah,
I'll get back to you after this next play.
Mason, an end zone toss. Mayfield couldn't make the catch. The coverage from Nick Ferguson was too tight. Mason is in and moved the Roughriders, but he doesn't have the end zone yet. 1st down, Winnipeg when we return. Winnipeg 47-48, Saskatchewan 7. Your wish is granted, sir. Nice hat. Tonight's TSN Turning Point is brought to you by Apple Auto Glass.
Some things in life are perfectly clear. Repairing your windshield instead of replacing it makes sense. An unrepaired windshield becomes 50 pounds of unrecyclable garbage. Let Apple repair that stone chip and do your part for the environment.
Raymond Filliot, the controls for Winnipeg. And Ronald Williams gets nailed in the backfield on Filliot's first attempt as the Bomber quarterback tonight.
Well, he gets to get his feet wet a little bit. He played against Edmonton, was 8 for 15 and completing 53% of his passes, 1 interception and no touchdowns, but gets 8 minutes to show something to the coaching staff for next year.
What amazes me is the field position he keeps getting. I had a chance to do that game against Edmonton. His first possession was at the 1. Now he gets to start at his 10.
There's his first completion for no gain, really. On 2nd down and 14.
I had a chance to talk to Coach Reinbold about getting young Filliot in the game, and I asked him, I said, hey, you really didn't give him many opportunities as far as field position goes last time. You put him in on the 1 and I think the 13 respectively in the game against Edmonton. He said, yeah, we'd like to get him a series of plays, several series in a row, and give him a good opportunity to get his feet wet and certainly get him some decent field position. They didn't do him any justice there, put him in on the 14-yard line.
out of Northeast Louisiana, where he holds the school record for career touchdowns with 52. 5:59 to go as Cameron takes it on one hop and decides to give up 2 with riders all around. Smile for Cameron there. The riders creep a little closer, but they're out of time. Best crowd of the season on hand to watch the Blue Bombers' best performance of 1997. Here's Greg Musselman.
Thanks, John. Over 30,000 fans here in Winnipeg. Some of the best and hardiest fans right across the country. And the Bombers playing very well tonight. And I guess after what has been a very long season here in Winnipeg, this is kind of sweet.
This is fantastic, but Jeff Reinbold had a plan and he's followed through. I think next year is going to be another year and we're going to go all the way.
It's just too bad it took 18 games.
That's right, but this is the final game is well worth it.
Okay, how do you feel about this? The Bombers playing well.
The weather's a bit cold, but I'm glad they saved the best for last, and it's a building block for next year, and all the best. I think next year, 98, will be a good year. It'll bring the Great Cup here. It'll be something to look forward to.
Just a couple of the over 30,000 fans here at Winnipeg Stadium, and back up to the guys.
4th sack of the night for the Blue Bombers. Great Cup coming to Winnipeg in 1998. It's all but official. Mason, long toss. Far side for Narcisse, who almost came up with it. Brandon Hamilton covering. He's had a solid night, number 3 for Winnipeg.
He really played well. You know, talking about Winnipeg, and we asked Jeff Reinbold in the press conference, how do you market this team for next year? And he said, you know, a win goes a long way, and they're going to get that. And you heard the happy fan in the stands talking about saving the best for last. And then you add on the Grey Cup. They're going to have something to market for next year.
Yeah, they don't get next week. This is for the next 8 months for them, so this is going to be a good one to taste for that long.
Dexter Dawson got one block, turns it up. Here's a marker down as Dawson is dropped at the 45. You know, he really set the tone for the Bombers very early in the game. In the opening kickoff, he gave Winnipeg outstanding field position, and they roared in for a touchdown in their first offensive play or offensive sequence.
Yeah, so often the special team sets the tone for a game, and that's exactly what happened. Dexter Dawson came out and got great field position. This one's going to come back. As soon as
illegal block. Winnipeg, number 88. First down.
Well, Sean Graham gets flagged for the penalty, but, you know, we talked about Wade Miller and his efforts to tackle. He had a nice block there, Glenn, to actually key Dexter Dawson to get around the corner. So not only is he making tackles, he's also setting things up and getting blocks.
And she's a townie, see?
Raymond Filliot, the controls for Winnipeg. And running wild is Ronald Williams again. 9 more.
Well, you know, when we're talking about the outstanding player nominees, there's quite a few good ones in the East, isn't there? Milt Stiegel's one of them.
Well, across the board, Orlando Steinauer, who leads the league in interceptions. Mike Pringle leads the league in rushing. Doug Flutie, the
leads the league.
Yeah, just leads the league. And Milt Stiegel leads the league in receiving. So those are all super nominees. And again, Toronto probably could have nominated 4 people to be their most outstanding player this year.
Yeah, and my point in that is Pinball Clemens may be the biggest injustice in Canadian Football League history, at least since I've been in it, because he's always surrounded by great people and never gets the nod for that, and deserves it.
Yeah, outstanding season for Pinball Clemens, no question about it. When you can't get nominated from your own team because Flutie's the quarterback, boy, that's a tough break in a lot of ways.
Now, who do you pick in the West, David Archer?
My selection would be Jeff Garcia with Bobby Juris in second. I think Jeff Garcia, he's number 2 in the league in touchdown passes, and
he's tough.
He's made a lot of plays.
Well, I'd like
6th in the league in rushing.
I'd like to pick my old pal Bobby Jurison, but
you're not allowed to. You can't pick former teammates.
Yeah, okay. I can't pick former. You know, Damon Allen, who had such a great start and was really ranked the #1 quarterback until 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, six weeks ago, I think he's a shoo-in to win the West.
Yeah.
And it's a little different now. Damon Allen. 3 minutes to go and a long night for Bobby Jurison and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They were trying to get ready for the playoffs, and, well, they didn't show up.
Hey, Kenny. Mom, Dad. Ken, Carol, Carrie, Nettie. Good night tonight. Good night.
It was a good night, Chris Vargas. 4 touchdown passes for the Bombers' starting quarterback, and prior to that, he had not tossed more than 2 in a game all season long. Well, that sets it up.
Showdown.
Sunday, McMahon, Calgary, be there. Sutter will be. Miller will be.
That's going to be a good one.
Winner takes second spot in the CFL West.
And that gentleman standing there right there, number 51, Alondra Johnson, you can bank on the fact that he will be putting his hat on some people.
Yes. And John Huffnagel in BC now will be on the sideline.
That's a good story.
In Calgary, yeah.
2nd and 10 for Raymond Filion. And quarterback for the Bombers. And that didn't work well, Raymond.
Well, we got a minute, and I want to thank some of the people that don't get mentioned a lot and are not on camera. Guys like our producer, Paul McLean, Paul Graham, guys who spend a lot of time, do a lot of work, make things happen. Directors, I'm going to miss someone, so you guys got to help me out.
David Moyer.
Rick Davis,
our director tonight.
Greg Breckel, another director.
Ronnie Forsythe.
Ron Forsythe.
And of course, maybe Paul Hemming, one of the great ISO men in the history of football, John Hines.
John Hines, that's right.
And of course, our stats guys, Dave Moyer and George Cootie. And all the cameramen. These guys get battered around on the field and get all great shots. It's been a lot of fun on Friday Night Football.
Jim Panus is in the studio, and of course Keith Pelly and Rick Chisholm.
Well, I had no idea coming as a player from the field to up here to do the games, the preparation that these guys do off the scene. I mean, they come to the ballpark at about 10 o'clock in the morning and are putting together packages and features for the fans to see at home, and TSN has done a super job with that. And Friday Night Football, I think, has been a super success.
Tremendous amount of work goes into it.
Most of the games have not been blowouts like this one either.
All right.
Hey, Pooch.
Can't stop us.
Pooch.
Kevin Mason, another Blue Bombers sack. Shante Peoples, 3rd of the night. He's #1 in the CFL as a result of 3 sacks tonight. So Alfred Payton.
Well, Alfred Payton still has one in hand, though.
It's 1 game to catch up.
Well, you can bank on the fact that Alfred Payton and his group are going to look at this film intently if they have to play Saskatchewan in the first round of the playoffs.
Oh, will they ever? Good point.
This is something that Alfred Payton features, is getting after the passer.
Mason throwing on the run and looking deep. Coverage again by Brandon Hamilton of Titus Winans.
Well, the blitz packages that this defense has put in with Shante Peoples looping back to the inside, great battle coming from the outside, the zone blitzes with the safety up on the line of scrimmage, and then the great coverage in the secondary. Coach Abilovich back in the studio alluded to the fact that they've upgraded their secondary, and they've all played extremely well on defense, and they really deserve the credit to have really established some tempo for this entire team.
It does not look like a 4-14 football team tonight, these Winnipeg Blue Bombers. McCallum's kick is high. Now a loss tonight, and Jeff Reinbold would have had 15 on the season, something he really didn't want, because that would have been the most losses in a season by a Blue Bomber head coach. You know who lost 14 games in a season in Winnipeg once? Bud Brant. 1964. The Bombers were 1-1-14.
And what we have going on now is something you don't want.
Well, Wade Miller did such a great job of blocking his man at the line of scrimmage. He rode him into the ground and then laid on top of him. And then Paul McCallum, the punter, came in and took a cheap shot at him. And that's what Wade Miller has taken exception to. And he stayed down for a while after the hit, but he went to retaliate, and fortunately his teammates have a little bit of a more level head than he does right now. And
he's a little emotional, Wade, most of the time, isn't he?
Pure effort guy.
And
he's a fucking He needs one tackle to tie a CFL record tonight in special team tackles. He has 6 right now. A 7th would tie a CFL record for a game. He's really come in with a purpose tonight.
And it has fired up his teammates.
Will he get back in with 1:40 to go to try and make one more? First down, Winnipeg again. Raymond Filion handing out. And the Riders have their first turnover of the ball game. Actually second.
Well, they pulled Ronald Williams out of the game, and Leonard John Pierre was getting a chance to carry the football. And as you come up as a backup, you don't like to put the football on the ground. That means you're not going to get much playing time. I think Bobby Jerson comes up with the recovery.
Well, I want to go to the scenario should Saskatchewan go to Montreal, because that is a matchup. I mean, you think about the teams playing each other this year in the regular season. Game 1, Montreal 37, Saskatchewan 34. Game 2, Montreal 30, Saskatchewan 29.
And the second one was sealed by an interception by Tom Europe in their end zone at the end of the ball game.
That's a playoff matchup should it happen.
Kevin Mason looking long, farthing the target. And Jim Daly has not liked anything he's seen here in Winnipeg tonight. Riders will finish at 8-10 and have a decent chance to be going to Montreal as a result.
Well, things have simplified a little bit. Again, Calgary wins their second. BC loses that game. Saskatchewan would finish 3rd and play at Calgary. BC would go to Montreal and play at McGill.
BC wins, they get 2nd, Calgary 3rd.
Exactly.
Boy, we got it figured out.
We got it!
Kevin Mason. Biggest gain of the night for the Roughriders. Then he lost the ball. It's going back the other way. Shannon Garrett. Oh, my.
And how about the guy that came and ripped it out of there? A guy that's kind of been the heart and soul of this defense all year long, fighting through some of the problems they've had with personnel. Great battle. Was rushing the passer. Number 34 is going to come in from behind. Elberg misses the tackle, and here comes 34. Great battle to rip the ball out.
Kevin Mason couldn't believe it. He ran all that way. He didn't even go after the fumble. He turned around and looked at it and just shook his head. It's been that kind of night.
Well, if this is Greg Battle's last ball game, which some have said it might be, I think they'll try to talk him out of that. Nice way for him to finish. He's had a solid year.
1:16 to go. Bombers are just going to run a little time off the clock.
Well, I don't know that I've ever seen a running back take a knee before, but, you know.
Timeout. Bombers are going to finish at 4-14. That's 2 wins better than Hamilton. Well, the Ticats do have a game to go against the Eskimos this weekend.
And the top 2 teams record-wise in Montreal and Toronto go head-to-head Sunday.
Well, you know, we kept talking about the importance of the matchup, because who will go to the Eastern Conference in the playoffs? And we have to say right now that Toronto is the team to beat in the league.
A big round of applause for Milt Stegall, who has established a CFL record as a result of his final game here tonight. The record is in average yards per catch, 26.5. That's been around since Bob Bilovich was a coach.
Hey.
Margene Atkins, 1969.
Wow, 1969.
Maybe Bob was playing.
Hey.
That's phenomenal.
Every time Milt Siegel catches a pass, he eats up almost a third of the field.
Yep. He's had a super year. He's the nominee for most outstanding player for Winnipeg, and deservedly so. He's had a super season, certainly a CFL All-Star this year.
Well, you know, and you talk to Joe Paopao about Milt Siegel, and you say, you know, why is he having such a good year all of a sudden? And he says he deserves it because he works so hard every day in practice, every single pattern he runs. And, you know, for the young people watching this, the young football players out there, that's how you become a Milt Siegel. Every day in the practice field, you go hard and you work on your game. Milt Siegel has done that, and he's reaped the benefits.
And if you talk to the guy, great guy, class guy, all he talks about is the team concept. He's not worried about what he's got going at all.
What's up, Big Cat? What's up, Calgary?
Joe Paopao is going to do everything he can to keep Milt Siegel here in Winnipeg and in that offense.
Well, the big question is Joe Paopao going to be here next year?
Yeah.
That might be a big question that needs to be answered at some point.
Cameron will be thinking about one of his worst punts of the year for the rest of the winter. That one off the side of his foot. Oh, well, there have been thousands of great ones, haven't there? Formula One qualifying and a great weekend in auto racing on TSN, the Grand Prix of Spain. And qualifying is on Saturday at 7 a.m. Eastern time, so get up early for that and then join us for the race on Sunday with a pre-race show at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. Jacques Villeneuve, Michael Schumacher, nose to nose, wheel to wheel, who'll be the world driving champion of 1997. Well, you'll find out.
Been a long time. Been a long time.
Find out with us on the weekend of great Formula One action on TSN.
Talk about a guy that spent two ends of the spectrum. That guy right there was Chris Perez. Last year, he won the Grey Cup. This year, he's 4-14 and is headed home probably the middle of next week.
Jeff Reinbold started a few traditions here in Winnipeg, and one of them is right after the game is over, the guys go up and shake some hands in the crowd. And this game was over at halftime, so they're pretty much up there already.
Just a horrible night for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the Bombers putting up their best game of the season on the final night of the season. Played with lots of emotion, enthusiasm.
How about Grant Carter thanking the fans? He's clapping his hands there, thanking the fans for coming out. These some true fans here.
And you know, you got to go back to that point, because for the football fans in the East, and I'm not talking about the ones that have shown up for games, I'm talking about the ones for some reason who haven't, to take a look at this crowd and Grant Carter going up. That's what it's all about. This crowd had a great time tonight. There were 30,000 of them packed in here. They saw some good football. They saw their team win, and even though they're out of the playoffs, they had a great night. And the fans in the East have got to catch up.
Well said.
For 6 more, touchdown toss. They get it. Dax Dawson from Raymond Tillion.
How about that? We may be seeing the dawning of one of the quarterbacks that becomes a star in this league. I think this kid has the talent to be one of the premier young quarterbacks that comes up, and we have a chance to witness his first career touchdown.
And I got a feeling that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are going to bring this tape to the wrap-up party at the end of the year and just sit back and watch it and have some fun. Nothing has gone wrong for this team tonight.
You know, as bad as the Saskatchewan Roughriders have played in this ballgame, it's been fun watching the enthusiasm of these guys in blue and gold tonight. It really has.
And it's been fun to be here. I mean, you know, this crowd is pumped up. it's just been a great atmosphere, and it usually is in Winnipeg Stadium.
Well, Dexter Dawson is the guy that catches the touchdown from Raymond Filia. Dexter Dawson, all he's done this season is throw a touchdown, return an interception for a touchdown, return a punt for a touchdown, and now his first receiving touchdown from Raymond Filia, who throws his first touchdown of his career.
Boy, nice touch on that ball. You know, say what you want about Jeff Reinbold, but the fans here in Winnipeg have bought into Jeff Reinbold's plan. And there were no real high expectations for year one. Just try and improve on last season and move forward.
Reinbold says his team is younger, faster, and stronger. All they really have to do somehow along the way is win a few more football games and win them early, right?
Yeah. You know, and when people talk about whether or not his job is under question, I don't think it is. I don't think it ever has been or will be at all. And it's not just because of this win. It's because he has a plan that takes more than 1 year to execute. The fans realized it, and they're going to be patient with him.
Yeah, and let's be real. How many coaches have come in their first season with a bad team? You have to throw Don Matthews out of that mix because of what he did in Toronto. But, I mean, how many guys have come in and actually turned a team around like this? 16 seconds on the clock. And that pretty well typifies the Saskatchewan night. The return game has not been there. The emotion has not been there. The heart and the desire has not been there. And they better get it together for next weekend, because
John,
the season will end if they don't play an awful lot better than this.
If I'm Jim Daly, I take this tape and dump it in the garbage before I get on the plane. I can't see how they can see anything positive out of this one. You go to the Montreal tape or whoever they're going to play in the playoffs, however it works out, and you start building.
Well, they need to make sure that their opponent doesn't get a part of this tape. Either burn all those copies also.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is not only, this is a psychological beating. I mean, you're going into the playoffs after getting pounded 55-9.
One more sack. Shawnee Peoples is there along with Grant Carter. Who are we giving credit to it?
Well, that could be big.
Yeah, because if it's Shantae's sack, he's 2 up, right?
This is Grant Carter's sack. If they do anything, it'd be a half and half, but this should be Grant Carter's sack. He's flushed to Grant Carter, he wraps him up, and Peoples comes in and finishes him off.
Well,
but the fans are in now. We're shaking.
We're shaking. The booth is shaking.
This is beautiful.
I thought one of the things that was really terrific when they renovated this stadium in Winnipeg, and you know how cold it can get here in my old hometown.
Yeah.
They put in aluminum seats, which is really a treat on a night like tonight. So they're jumping on it. You don't want to be sitting down there.
Well, that was the thank you from Jeff Reinbold to those fans. A 55-9 thank you.
This was not in doubt.
Good luck in the playoffs.
At any point.
Danny, good luck in the playoffs.
You know, and he's a class guy, and I'll tell you why. In an interview with the Regina radio, guy, he said to him, and I overheard it, you should thank the fans, and the fans in Regina should be proud. And Reinbold says, I'll be cheering for the Roughriders in the playoffs because of the fan support they've got out in Regina. He's a first-class guy.
Well, and he finally got it all together tonight. This was the 4th win of the year, but easily the most impressive for the Bombers. There's the final score. The Riders get shellacked in Winnipeg, 55-9. Oh, my. Tonight's TSN Turning Point brought to you by Apple Auto Glass with a Bond for Life system, guaranteed safer coast to coast. No jokes, guys. You can't pick the anthem.
Well, Joe Rogers just runs the slant here. It's the first drive of the game. Vargas went 3 for 3 in the drive, and he was really sharp. And that set the tempo for the shellacking.
Hey, my vote for the turning point was when Westwood kicked it off. Saskatchewan didn't show up tonight.
A cash donation will be made to the Canadian Coaching Association on behalf of TSN and Apple Auto Glass. Well, there weren't enough victories in Winnipeg to make everyone happy all season long, but they had a joyous time at Winnipeg Stadium tonight. Reinbold is going to shake every hand, and there were 60,000 here this evening.
Our final CFL telecast of the season coming 2 days from now. Sunday, McMahon Stadium, the Stampeders, BC Lions. The winner gets second place in the West and will host a playoff game. We're on with a pregame show, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 12:30 Pacific. Sports Desk coming up next with Mike Toth and Lisa Bose. NHL highlights, the Oilers sale update, and European Grand Prix. Jacques Villeneuve trailing Michael Schumacher by a point. Controversial finish. Should be a good finish coming up. And they'll have news on that and highlights from the practice run of the European Grand Prix. Well, once again, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers demolish the Saskatchewan Roughriders 55-9. And because of it, we're trying to decide how Marty York will part with his mustache on Sunday. Don't miss it. If for no other reason to see that, maybe tweezers would be a good idea. Thanks for watching, everybody. From Obi, Les, Marty, our producer Jim Panousis, I'm Rod Smith saying so long. Have a great evening.
Friday night football tonight.